in the world. Do you know that? Where is my 10? I didn't hear the 10.
Breaking news this hour from Town Hall. I'm Rich Thomason. An update and a warning on Iran from President Trump. Writing on Truth Social, the president describes Iran as being in a state of collapse. Iran, he writes, can't get their act together. They don't know how to sign a non-nuclear deal. They better get smart soon. Federal appeals court has ruled the Trump administration cannot jail illegal immigrants without the chance to seek bond.
Since last year, the Department of Homeland Security has been denying bond hearings to immigrants arrested across the country, including those with no criminal history. In a unanimous ruling, a panel of the Second U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals in New York City cited serious constitutional questions related to that policy, saying it would otherwise be the broadest mass detention without bond mandate in American history. Since two other appellate courts have already upheld the policy, the case could be headed to the U.S. Supreme Court. Greg Clugston, Washington.
Could OPEC's days be numbered? The question follows word of the United Arab Emirates pending withdrawal from the cartel.
This is a big blow for OPEC, which was formed decades earlier as a means to control the prices of crude oil on the international market by setting production targets, and the UAE was one of those countries that really chafed under those limits. The UAE says it will be able to set its own production levels. It says it will still be a responsible player within the market, but it also comes amid tensions with Saudi Arabia. This is all coming as the whole Middle East is still reeling from the Iran war.
Correspondent John Gambrell. 2 people injured, a knife attack in a predominantly Jewish neighborhood of London. UK Prime Minister Starmer calls it deeply concerning. A 45-year-old man under arrest on suspicion of attempted murder. The Dow features down 56 points. More on these stories, townhall.com.
If you're hearing my voice, chances are you're either worried about a parent living alone or you are that parent. And you know your family worries about you too. Either way, there's a company that finally got senior safety right. Connected Caregiver. Connected Caregiver is everything you knew about alert devices, fall detection, emergency button, GPS, reimagined for today. There's a small wearable that alerts your family's phone the moment something happens. Inside your home, discrete sensors, no cameras, no microphones, just motion sensors have you covered even when you're not wearing it. No movement for hours, your loved ones will know. For the kids, you go from hoping everything's okay to knowing it is. And for you, you stay in your home on your terms while giving your precious family the peace of mind they've been asking for. That's not losing independence, that's keeping it. Visit ccgoffer.com to see if you qualify for a free device. It takes 2 minutes. That's ccgoffer.com, ccgoffer.com. Do it today.
Moscow's latest attacks on Ukraine result in casualties and damage.
Russian drone attacks overnight Tuesday hit multiple regions across Ukraine, injuring civilians and damaging infrastructure, regional authorities say. In the northeastern Sumy region, an attack on Shostka triggered large-scale fires in residential areas. A 60-year-old woman died of carbon monoxide poisoning and others were treated for injuries. Ukraine's Air Force says it shot down 154 of the 171 drones launched by Russia overnight, but 12 drones had hit targets across 10 locations, while debris from downed drones fell in another 12. I'm Charles de Ledesma.
The head of the UN Nuclear Agency says a majority of Iran's highly enriched uranium still thought to be at its Isfahan nuclear complex. The site was bombed by airstrikes last year and then was hit again this year. News and analysis, townhall.com. College sports premier tournament on track to see a significant expansion of teams next season.
The NCAA is still deliberating expanding March Madness on both the men's and women's sides to 76 teams for next season. The NCAA released a statement Tuesday in the wake of an ESPN report that cited unnamed sources, saying a decision to add 8 teams to the bracket is a mere formality that's expected in May. The statement said, quote, "No final recommendations or decisions have been made," end quote. The tournaments have been at 68 teams since 2011, when 4 play-in games were added to the first week of play. I'm Gethin Coolball.
Britain's king and queen travel to New York City today. They'll meet with first responders, victims' families at the 9/11 memorial site. Reflecting on the attacks of 25 years ago, King Charles says, "We stood with you then, we stand with you now." More on these stories, townhall.com.
Auburn's department store, McCullough's, has something for everyone. From the latest styles for men, women, and adorable kids' clothes and toys. They bring the best brands to the foothills. You can skip the big box store stress and the parking hassles. There's plenty of free parking at McCullough's. With quality service and that classic neighborhood feel. Save time, gas, and money by shopping at McCullough's in the Auburn Town Center, right off of Elm.
Markley, Van Camp, and Robbins.
Watching the latest leftist freak out and how so many people who were like, resist Donald Trump, blah, 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 appropriated Star Wars themed stuff.
Yes.
I'm turning on Star Wars, man.
Uh-oh.
It's not that film franchise's fault, man, but so many of these dopey ass losers.
Yeah. Weekdays
From 1 to 4 on the Voice of the Foothills.
FM 104.5 and AM 950 KAHI.
Defiant and more MAGA now make America great again than I've ever been.
making mornings great again. First thing today on the Talk Media Network by Joe Thomas.
Thank you for joining us on this Tedsday, the day where we celebrate God's gifts to you and your application of them with great zeal and enthusiasm as you go about your day. These are the things that you just have to do. And you may not know. There's a sad state of affairs in the United States where our gaslit population doesn't know that they have gifts and talents. They're told, no, that's for special people. You know, the ones with PhD after their name. It's a lie. It is just a straight out fabrication. You have gifts and talents. I have gifts and talents. And Ted has gifts and talents. Some of us are butchers, bakers, guitar players, whatever it is we do, we have to do it with the great enthusiasm of understanding it is what we were put here to do. And that's our celebration today. Sure, it's there every day. And tacitly, we're celebrating it every day. But this is the one we set aside just to make a point out of it, just to be a nudge, if you will. So there, and as we gather in this morning, so much to get into this morning on the program that will tell you what went on last night. We'll tell you our analysis of what went on last night, and then we will ask you to weigh in on how it's impacting you. And Kareem, just before we went to the news, was talking about the gas prices trucking through West Virginia this morning. And it is, the cost of being an American is higher than it's been, and we'll get to you on that. And I want to weigh in a little bit more. We talked about Ron Paul. Andy was texting us links to Mises and Lou Rockwell, and folks who understand that part of it is how are we valued. Value as an abstract is an important thing. So we'll get to that. But first, we must lay out the things that have happened since last we spoke so that we can get it here on the Talk Media Network. So when you call us at 434-882-4217 or text message the same number, you've got some stuff to chew on. You can also email us at jtinthemorningradio@gmail.com on this Tedsday morning, heady times. So our first things, President Trump said he has been contacted, or the U.S. has been contacted by Iran. They want to open the Strait of Hormuz and that they are in a governmental state of collapse. They want to open it up as soon as they figure out their leadership situation, the president said. Meanwhile, as I mentioned, gasoline prices, according to AAA's average, $4.18 per gallon. States with oil refining and or transport mechanisms are lower than some of the ones where they don't have any oil resources of their own and or they're denied, like California's. Negotiation over Iran's proposal to impose shipping tolls have stalled. The Gulf states have sided with the U.S. and Israel, rejecting the idea of paying Iran a toll, according to a report in the New York Post. Meanwhile, King Charles III was in the United States, marking the 250th anniversary of American independence. Speaking to a joint session of Congress, he said that we ignore the clarion calls to become ever more inward-looking, he said on Tuesday to the joint session. One of the most consequential alliances in human history, called the repaired relations with a country that had for about 100 years tried to do us in from within. United Arab Emirates announced they will be leaving OPEC as of Friday. The oil cartel and price fixer has just lost one of its major oil producers. This could lower the price of fuel if UAE begins trading directly with the West. The Department of Justice has indicted former FBI Director James Comey, this time for that social media photo of seashells arranged on a beach that officials say constituted a threat against Donald Trump. During his visit, King Charles presented Donald Trump with a naval artifact from a submarine called the HMS Trump. He said to the president, "Should you ever need to get a hold of us, just give us a ring." And North Carolina has found 34,000 dead people still on state's voter rolls. The question remains, when was the last time they voted? And those are our first things this morning on the Talk Media Network.
Every state is home to significant historic sites that tell the American story. But not every site is telling that story honestly and fairly. That's why the Heritage Foundation created the Heritage Guide to Historic Sites. This interactive guide equips American citizens with the tools they need to enjoy the sites that depict some of the greatest moments in our nation's history, analyzing them for historical accuracy, and provides resources for families or educators planning a visit. It currently covers over 45 sites in the 13 original colonies. But sites from all 50 states will be added in time for citizens to celebrate America 250 this summer. From Mount Vernon to Independence Hall to Gettysburg and more, Americans deserve transparency, and sites that steward our history faithfully deserve our gratitude. The Heritage Guide to Historic Sites invites every American to rediscover the places and stories that define our nation, whether it's across the country or in your backyard. Visit historicsites.heritage.org to start your adventure today.
You know, it's true. Difficult times have a way of focusing us. We have to think about what matters most when it comes to our spending, our health care. This is why so many people are joining Medishare right now. Medishare is a trusted way to save up to 50% on your monthly healthcare costs. More than 400,000 people have already made the switch. It's pretty obvious why, especially now during this challenging season with healthcare costs and out-of-pocket expenses going up. Medishare can save you a lot of money. The typical family saves $500 a month. Medishare works, too. It's been around for 30 years. Members have shared more than $5 billion of each other's bills. There are different options to choose from to fit your budget. I'll give you the number here in a second, and if you call, you can get a price within 2 minutes. Maybe now is the perfect time to make the switch and start saving. Here you go. Call 855-SHARE-40. That's 855-SHARE 40. 855-SHARE-40.
FM 104.5 KAHI and AM 950 KAHI.
I can't stay awake any longer, George.
It'll be on right after the Night Owl movie.
It's 4:30 in the morning.
It's a fantastic 10-second commercial, Helen, and I'm standing right there pointing to the car. Gramps!
Well, what? You on yet, Georgie?
Not yet, but you're falling asleep.
What's this on my forehead?
Cheese dip, Gramps.
You fell asleep in the cheese dip.
Must have fallen asleep with the cheese dip.
Oh, George, why does your TV commercial have to be on so late?
Our ad budget could only afford fringe time, but that's okay because a lot of people are up to... Gramps!
Well, I'm up. Are you on the TV?
No, but soon.
Well, I'm all set right here here next to the TV. I wouldn't miss you for...
If your advertising isn't reaching the people you want, radio definitely will. With its many different formats, radio reaches every lifestyle. So you can target more messages to exactly who you want, when you want, at a price you can still afford.
Okay, Helen, here it comes.
Gramps, it's George! It's George!
Oh, I'll get it. Let me turn off the TV first. Hello, George. Must have hung up.
Oh, brother.
Want to wake up your advertising? Try radio. It's right on the button. A message from the Radio Advertising Bureau.
Hi, I'm Martha Barnett.
And I'm Grant Barrett.
We're hosts of A Way with Words, a weekly show about language.
We take your calls from anywhere in the country.
And from outside the country, too.
About anything and everything related to communication.
It's a show about speaking and writing and why we say the things we do.
It's also a show about history, family, and culture.
Satisfy your linguistic curiosity Saturdays and Sundays at 7 p.m. on the Voice of the Foothills, AM 950, KAHI.
Here's Jimmy J, DJ of the Stars.
BB Bumble and the Stingers, Martha Hoople, Ray Charles Singers, Lonnie Mack and Twang and Eddie. Here's my ring. We're going stop. Ooh, I didn't realize the mic was on. Hi, this is Jimmy J. How you doing? Join me every Saturday at 8 p.m. right here on KAHI. I have the stars you grew up with, some great music, and I promise I won't sing. So join me this Saturday, 8 p.m. for Rewind, right here on the Voice of the Foothills, AM 950, KAHI.
Hey everybody, Chris Quant here with Chris in the Morning. Wanted to let you know that there will be some scheduled maintenance done on AM 950 KAHI this Monday, April 27th from 1 to 3 p.m. So there will be an interruption of programming during that time. But we'll still be on the air on FM 104.5 and streaming online at KAHI.com as well. Then back to regular programming after about 3 p.m. We want to bring you the best entertainment on the air with us. Thanks in advance for your understanding, and we appreciate you being a part of the KAHI family with lots more exciting things to come.
Because KAHI cares. Here's another KAHI Community Bulletin Board.
You don't have to go to Africa to have a wildlife adventure. The Wildlife Care Association offers adventure, challenge, and satisfaction when you volunteer to care for injured birds and small animals. The nonprofit group is offering classes now for volunteers to assist Mother Nature in returning wildlife to our communities. Visit wildlifecareassociation.com or call 916-965-WILD and get your adventure going.
Yeah, military life can have its challenges, but sometimes veteran life brings more. While serving in Iraq, an IED took both my legs, but it didn't take my spirit.
As America's veterans face challenges, DAV is there.
My name is Greg Gadsden, 26-year Army veteran.
With the right support, more veterans can reach victories, great and small.
DAV helps veterans like me get all the benefits they've earned, and that can be a life changer.
DAV provides a lifetime of support to veterans of every generation, helping more than 1 million veterans each year.
Today, I'm an entrepreneur, photographer, and public speaker.
But there's more to be done and more victories to be won. With the right support, there are no limits.
My victory is just being the best that I can be.
Greg Gadsden, thank you for your service. May your victories inspire many more. Support more victories for veterans. Go to DAV.org.
Catch Sinatra and Friends, Saturdays and Sundays, right here on 104.5 FM and AM 950 KAHI. Join Frank and his friends, Sammy, Dean, Tony Bennett, and more, performing songs from the Great American Songbook. Sinatra and Friends Weekends, brought to you by Naturewood Home Furnishings on Folsom Boulevard in Rancho Cordova. Right here on the Voice of the Foothills, 104.5 FM, AM 950, and streaming all over the world at KAHI.com.
This is Stephen Hill. Catch Hearts of Space, Sunday nights at 8, here on the all-new FM 104.5 and AM 950 KAHI. The same Voice of the Foothills, more powerful than ever.
Basis, because you need to know the first thing today.
To move not only toward the rich society and the powerful society, but upward to the great society. The Great Society rests on abundance and liberty for all.
So how's that been working for us? How's that been going for us? I mean, we're 60 years into the Great Society, and we're talking about the dollar being worthless comparatively to the dollar in 1964 when Lyndon Johnson decided to pump up our socialist lurch with steroids and created a program that presidents through history. And we talk about Donald Trump finally doing what Jefferson warned needed to be done to deal with the Islamists, the radical Islamists who view anyone who isn't an adherent to be someone to be taken out, robbed, stolen from, killed, you name it. But what about this Great Society? Why, within 8 years, the Great Society had pushed us to the point where we needed to pull ourselves off the gold standard because it wasn't possible to have enough gold to keep paying all the social programs that the Great Society created. Think about it. We've got folks on the line, but on the subject of gold, there is our friends at jcsgold.com who, they've seen it. They were around in 1964 when Lyndon Johnson announced the Great Society. They had opened 3 years earlier and started their trek to where we are today. James Luck, fourth generation at jcsgold.com, on the phone with us. Good morning, James. How are you, sir?
I'm doing well, Joe. And correct me if I'm wrong, but doesn't the Treasury have the gold at Fort Knox valued at like $43 an ounce or something?
So something like that, yeah. And they've moved off of their own declaration of what the gold is valued at. That was part of the whole full faith and credit of the United States, if I'm remembering it correctly, was that they said, we'll let the market decide. And since then, gold's done pretty well for herself, hasn't it?
Yeah, a pretty extreme difference here because gold is $4,569 today, down just slightly, about 0.5% so far this morning. But $4,500 is a big difference compared to $45. Silver is even more valuable than that. Silver is $72.90 today, down about 0.33% so far. The gold and silver have been, on sale so far this week. Yesterday was a very busy day there at the shop. A lot of our clients were taking advantage of these cheaper prices. Sure. And a lot of people, ask if, is this something I should be afraid of? This price drop, it's been down 3 days in a row, type of thing. And I say, has anything changed in the world, or is everything still the same as it was, a month ago or a couple weeks ago? And everything is still the same. So a lot of people really do see this as just a price discount, where they can take advantage of when they stack gold and silver.
Well, you keep doing it, because I know that this is something that comforts a lot of people, because it's a family business that's not out there trying to get their call sheet filled out so that they can go home at 5. This is a family that does this for you, with you, walks with you. Email them through their links at jcsgold.com or call them. Put me to the test. Don't just believe me because I'm on the radio. Believe me, that's a fool's errand. But believe me when I tell you this is where I go. So 434-979 coin 434-979-2646. James, bless you, sir. You have a great morning.
You too, Joe. Thanks.
Joel is on the line with us at 434-882-4217. Good morning, Joel. How are you doing this morning?
A little bit stuffy nose here. It's dusty and dry here, but I'm okay.
Well, that happens when you move to a new climate. We noticed it when we moved from Pennsylvania to Virginia. It doesn't seem like it's all that far, but you're, I think, one growing zone. There are different zones. Like if you talk to a horticulturist and you look at, zone 4, zone 3, what grows when, and that kind of thing. We had moved an entire 2 zones in 2 years out of New York State, down into Pennsylvania and then down into Virginia. So we had a little bit of singular, adjustment to make, as we came down here. So I feel you, playa.
Oh, that's true. And this isn't my topic, but I'll just add on it real quick. But we're actually in the valley, but the valley here is 900 feet. So it's kind of like when I was in Charlottesville, it was 545 feet or something like that. So you don't realize you're still at an elevation. But
oh yeah, high desert.
anyway,
High desert's a lot. Yeah, I mean, when they talk about Denver being mile high, well, it starts 3/4 of a mile to begin with. So
yeah. But I wanted to bring this up. Okay, so we all shouldn't fall into that mouse trap, because what I think, I mean, I don't know. I don't know if it's good that this is being brought up as an FCC issue, but
Jimmy Kimmel.
I think that, yeah. The biggest thing is if it goes that way and something happens to him, it's going to be a First Amendment, fight, and it's going to go to the Supreme Court, and then not only is ABC and Jimmy Kimmel going to get fame, but it's gonna make President Trump, and I respect him all the way, but it's gonna make him look like he really is attacking somebody in a petty way, even though Jimmy Kimmel has no scruples or morals. What the whole issue is about respect, and I think you know it. You own a station. You're an announcer, and you've been doing broadcasts for over 38 years or something like that.
Yeah, something like I lost count around 15.
Yeah, I mean, you have standards, and a lot of, I think that's the thing that's missing, and it should be a general consensus with the people that, there's just certain things you don't say or do, and especially in America now, we know that violence and forming violence isn't protected speech,
but remember, and I don't want to intercede, but I remember what I said about Jimmy Kimmel. He is not a comedian. This is why I've played this clip of King Charles actually bringing the funny. So King Charles held a master class yesterday of how to tell, what's the word? A joke. And so delivered it better than Jimmy Kimmel too. And this is the King of England, Green New Deal, everything short of Al Gore with a better accent. But he, Jimmy is a shock jock. Jimmy says things to make you go, and so when you hire him to do the correspondence dinner, you're not bringing, that kind of high level of, ironic sarcasm or anything like that. I know that they've had folks like Jon Stewart do it in the past and things like that. But you get what you pay for. Jimmy Kimmel is a guy who will say stuff like she's looks lovely. She has that glow of an expectant widow, and it's not a joke. But it's shocking. It's a smack in the face. It's a 2x4 to the back of your head for the verbal version of like a Three Stooges sketch to say, oh, is that funny, or is it just sort of one of those, oh my God, I can't believe that happened.
Did you know that healthy arteries make a gas? Yes, actually 3 known gases. Hi, I'm Dr. Mitch. And nitric oxide is a gas that's readily made all day long to keep our arteries open by relaxing the blood vessel walls. By doing this, our circulation is increased, bringing blood, oxygen, and nutrients to every part of your body. Both age and poor diet can lead to a loss of this precious gas, and in turn, blood pressure can go up, energy can go down, and you can get tingling in your hands and feet. Well, our product, Ultimate Nitric Oxide, can easily help fix this lack of nitric oxide. Go to TotalWellness.com. That's TotalWellness.com, where we are helping you to look good, feel good, and enjoy total wellness.
In today's troubled world, our USA Armed Forces stand ready to protect you, your family, and our American way of life. When veterans return to civilian life, they deserve your recognition and support. You can help put vets to work by donating your car, truck, or van to Patriotic Hearts. Your donation will directly support programs to help vets find jobs or even start their own business. Donate today for fast, free pickup of your vehicle, running or not. Operators are standing by to answer questions about making a tax-deductible vehicle donation. Find out how you can make a difference in the life of a United States veteran. Call 800-209-4580 for 24-hour response. Call 800-209-4580. 800-209-4580. That's 800-209-4580.
FM 104.5 KAHI and AM 950 KAHI.
Hey there, KAHI listeners. Producer Adam here to remind you that Chris in the Morning really is the best way to start your day. And he's not paying me to say this at all. Wink. And yes, he really is holding it down in beautiful Studio A in the KAHI Worldwide Headquarters Studios, Monday through Friday, 6 to 9 a.m. Chris in the Morning here on FM 104.5, AM 950, and streaming all over the world at KAHI.com. Now, where is that $3 gift card he said he'd leave me for saying nice things about him? Man, that guy's a cheapskate.
Every year, dozens of first responders and police are injured or killed while assisting motorists on the side of busy highways. And hundreds of people are killed changing tires or stopping for other reasons. Most drivers are unaware that the law in all 50 states says that when you see flashing lights, you're required to slow down and move to the next lane. Failing to obey these laws can result in fines and criminal charges if someone is injured. So if you see a police car, ambulance, tow truck, fire truck, or any emergency vehicle on the side of the road, slow down to at least 20 miles per hour below the speed limit and move to the next lane. And if you think you need to pull over to the side of the road, do so only if it's an emergency, and never pull over to the median side of the highway. Park as far from the highway as possible, turn on your hazard lights, make sure all passengers get out of the vehicle, and light flares if you have them. And don't risk your life trying to change a flat tire on a dangerous highway. Carefully drive to the nearest exit. To learn more, visit nationalpolice.org.
Hi, the consumer with a thought about advertising on the radio. Someone probably told you Wednesday was best shopping day in the newspaper, so you put an ad there. And so did everyone else, including all the mega billion-dollar companies who take the whole page and swallow your little ad like a great white shark devouring a small reef fish. It's not a pretty sight. No wonder they say newspaper is black and white and red all over. The red is from all the poor little ads getting annihilated. So what's a little guy to do? You could hire someone to carry a sign, walk around in traffic, and talk to everyone who passes by. But people probably wouldn't hear them over their car radios. Hey, there's an idea. Advertise on the radio. People will hear you. You'll be one-on-one with me, the consumer.
If you'd like to advertise where there's less clutter, advertise on this station. Call us for more information.
Catch Sinatra and Friends, Saturdays and Sundays, right here on 104.5 FM and AM 950 KAHI. Join Frank and his friends, Sammy, Dean, Tony Bennett, and more, performing songs from the Great American Songbook. Sinatra and Friends Weekends, brought to you by Naturewood Home Furnishings on Folsom Boulevard in Rancho Cordova. Right here on the Voice of the Foothills, 104.5 FM, AM 950, and streaming all over the world at KAHI.com.
Tune in to the KAHI Corral every Saturday at 7 a.m. here on the Voice of the Foothills.
I did a petting zoo on the top floor of a skyscraper.
No. Wait.
They had the windows open because it's an old building. They don't have any air conditioning.
So I'm still creeped out because I think animals fell out the windows, but they didn't.
Well, Reno did. He was on the windowsill with his head out the window.
Did he come when you called him?
Very slowly, grabbed him and pulled him back in and closed the windows.
Listen in to Connie and the Gang, and you'll never know what you're going to find. Everything from pets in the studio, oh yeah, that's a real thing, to the advice you've come to count on. So join Connie and a cast of thousands on the KAHI Corral Saturday mornings at 7 a.m. here on 104.5 FM, AM 950, and streaming all over the world at KAHI.com.
From Joe Thomas, it's First Thing Today.
On this Wednesday morning, thank you for letting me be of service to you. Text message. Joe, I've tried and tried. It's an hour and a half now, and I can't get the image of you in an adult diaper out of my head. Can I see the real picture so I can stop imagining what that looked like? Well, Marjorie, I appreciate the email, but honestly, I know they're out there on social media. My wife has them because I subjected her to this. She's been along for the whole ride. She's not one of these wives that came along saying, "Oh my God, I had no idea this is what radio was all about." She met me. I was already deeply vested into a radio career, and she married me anyway. Coming up, oh my gosh, anniversary is Friday as well. Better make sure we're doing something special for our anniversary. There, actually, fun fact, we're going to be at the scene of the crime on Friday. We're going to do our show from Long Island. I was at Eisenhower Park, Dwight D. Eisenhower Park, by the way. That's where our wedding was, and we're going to be there. Hopefully, at the moment it all went down, our minister gave us a task, noted the time that he named us man and wife at 6:09 p.m. on May 1. And since then, every year for more than 3 decades now, we are together at 6:09 on May 1st, and we kiss just like we did all those years ago, as George Harrison sang. But yeah, she was there while I was up on the billboard in an adult diaper there, and I feel like this is another sense of where the left is targeting a group of Americans. I mean, there are millions and millions of Americans. I see all the ads on my TV shows that I watch online. I'm not sure what the algorithm is trying to tell me. It must know my age. And then I keep seeing these ads for, Depends and Underoos and all these other different adult diapers, pull-ups and things like that. There's millions of Americans. You guys are making fun of millions of Americans. That's a perilous thing. You're going to lose all those voters, Hakeem Jeffries. And I'd like to see Chuck Schumer and what he looks like when he's sitting on a wooden chair, sitting down for an interview. What is he with a big bandage on his forehead? Anyway, I digress, as it is my programming philosophy to digress. Our digressions are what we're known for. 434-882-4217. What? It was Ocean City, Maryland. I mean, technically Berlin, Maryland, the other one. And how many of these? We got Moscow, we got St. Petersburg, we got Berlin, all these places. But further in and further up on the news of the day. Good morning. You're on the air with Joe. Who's this?
Hey, Joe, it's Clark.
Morning, Clark. What's on your mind, sir?
Well, let's see. First, just an observation, but all the people that did the No Kings protest did a standing ovation for an actual king. So there's that.
Oops. Yeah, I didn't see any of those placards in the Congressional Hall yesterday. I would have been interesting to see some of these folks actually protesting an actual king.
Right. So there's that. And, you got to get audio of Don Jr. talking about Donald Trump in the 2:30 a.m. tweets, Joe, because the guy is hilarious.
Okay.
Oh, he could do a perfect, I mean, he's been around him his whole life, literally.
Yeah, if your kids can't do an impression of you, no one can.
Yeah. And he's just, I can't begin to imitate. It's hilarious. Now,
okay.
Here's the thing. You're a radio guy your whole life, pretty much, except for when you were working for the king. And you've got to be able to remember back to the golden age of radio when we watched TV on the radio.
Oh,
and
sure.
There was Fibber McGee and Molly and the Lone Ranger. And there was a show, Joe. I was a Wait, hold on. I was a communist for the FBI.
Was there really?
Now, there was a show. Yes. I don't make things up. I don't have to. Real life is strange enough. So you had I was a communist for the FBI. We could reprise that notion and have back-to-back shows, Joe. Do you remember Thursday nights back in the 80s? What was on CBS on Thursday night back in the 80s? First, it was Magnum P.I.
Right, yeah.
Simon and Simon. What great shows they were, and back-to-back detective shows, right? So you could have back-to-back shows, Joe. I was a governor for the CIA. And then you could have I was a grand wizard for the SPLC. Now, you know, some of the best television ever has been the crossovers, right?
Oh, when like one TV star, like when Magnum shows up, and I get you.
Yeah. When Rick and AJ came to Hawaii, and then Magnum went to San Diego. When the Beverly Hillbillies went to Hooterville.
Right.
It's great stuff, Joe. You establish those two shows, and you could have crossovers where the governor for the CIA gets together with the Grand Wizard for the SPLC to diminish the American way of life.
I think we've already done that one. I think that was last season's episode.
2017's anyway.
I was a Grand Wizard for the SPLC. Did you see, and this is a story we have on the news docket this morning, the Southern Poverty Law Center was in court yesterday. You know what their defense was? And their lawyer
They're using them to track the movements. Yeah.
Well, no. That was, there were confidential informants, just like all those FBI confidential informants dressed in Trump.
274 confidential informants on J6.
Yeah, exactly. But they went into court, and I don't know if there was a head injury or if somebody had been, a couple of cocktails at lunch. Their defense, now understand, they're charged with committing fraud against their contributors for not telling their contributors what their money was going to. Do you know what their defense yesterday was?
What did they defend with?
They said, well, the government knew what we were doing.
Well, I have no doubts of that. Hold on. Wait a minute. Let's back up.
Checks notes.
Okay.
That's not what you're charged with.
Where did USAID get money from? State Department, CIA.
Right.
Okay.
USAID, yeah.
Where did the Tides Foundation get money from? USAID.
Yeah.
Where did SPLC get money from, amongst others?
The Tides Foundation.
Tides Foundation. Now, I remember the transitive property from when I learned geometry, and if A equals B and B equals C, then A equals C. And if the CIA gave money to USAID, who gave money to the Tides Foundation, who gave money to the SPLC, then the CIA gave money to the SPLC. And therefore, you go all the way through the cycle, the CIA was funding the Ku Klux Klan. I don't know, Joe. Maybe we could have both shows. I was governor for the CIA. I was a governor, and I was a Grand Wizard for the CIA. Because ultimately, that seems to be where it goes back to. I don't know.
And next, Seinfeld reunion, and I was a governor for the CIA. Next, must-see TV. Good stuff, Dr. Clark. You have a great morning, sir.
Radio shows, Joe. Theater of the Mind.
Okay, all right. And we don't have to worry about trying to find someone who looks like Abigail Spanberger. Stop.
We do.
All right. Oh, try to get some work done now, Dr. Clark. 434-882-4217. That is the phone. True story, though. They're in there. You're charged with fraud against your contributors. And he's like, well, the government knew what we were doing. I had to shake my head. I was like, somebody overpaid for their attorneys. I mean, I'm sure they're in-house and, and they're on retainer, or they still wear retainers, it sounds like.
In a study, it was found that 33% of 44 herbal supplements had no trace of the advertised herb. Don't let that happen to you. Hi, this is Dr. Mitch. If you want to ensure quality, please go to totalwellness.com. Supplements made for physicians only now available to you too. TotalWellness.com, helping you to look good, feel good, and enjoy total wellness.
Increase fuel economy up to 7.9% with Hot Shot Secret Gasoline Extreme. The solution to maximize your engine's performance and fuel economy. Whether you're driving a sports car or a daily commuter, Gasoline Extreme is specially formulated with PEA to deep clean. Don't settle for an average driving experience. Upgrade to Hot Shot Secret Gasoline Extreme and go further on each tank. Order now on Amazon or HotShotSecret.com. Hot Shot Secret, powered by science.
FM 104.5 KAHI and AM 950 KAHI.
This program is supported in part by the Hearts of Space Archive Service. If you just can't get enough Hearts of Space, Sunday evenings at 8 here on KAHI, visit the Hearts of Space Archive Service anytime on the web at HOS.com. Hearts of Space, slow music for fast times.
Lonely winter, lonely times.
Wednesday weather forecast is calling for mostly sunny skies today, 70 to 75, and light west winds. It'll be around 50 overnight, mostly clear, almost calm. Mid to upper 70s expected Thursday and Friday. Some nice spring weather. Mostly sunny skies expected Thursday and Friday. Looks like the nice weather will continue over the weekend with sunshine in the 70s. This is meteorologist Tim Root from FM 104.5 and AM 950 KAHI.
How much do we know about Parkinson's disease? Got a group who wants you to know, and we need to know. Hi, Mary Jane Pop here, self-help. Need a little help to make it happen? It's not that complicated. And is money slipping away through everyday bad habits? Let's shore up that sieve of loss. And do you believe that you can connect and talk to those who have passed on? Let's talk with a medium with a large connection to the other side. Pop Talk Seeks Truth. Saturday 5 to 7 a.m., Sunday 9 to 11 p.m., and weekdays at 7 p.m. Let's share.
Runners, to your mark. Set.
Some may see a sprinter. At the NFHS, we see a future leader already off to the races. Some may see a volleyball player.
One hit! Way to go, girls! Woo!
At the NFHS, we see a spike in confidence that will help her achieve her potential. What else do we see? Musicians learning to march to their own beat. We're the NFHS, the national leader and advocate for high school athletics and activities in America, helping today's teenagers develop the skills they need to become tomorrow's leaders. And we see it happening in communities across California every single day. Learn more about the NFHS commitment to youth at nfhs.org. This message presented by the NFHS, the National Federation of State High School Associations.
Hi, this is Dr. Dahlia. Join me for my live call-in medical talk show that answers your questions right here on KAHI. On my show, we tackle issues like cholesterol, diabetes, women's health, children, geriatrics, relationships, and more. And with all that's going on in Washington, we even touch on government and policies.
Dr. Dahlia, weekdays from 9 to noon here on the Voice of the Foothills.
Join me each weekday morning right here on FM 104.5 and AM 950 KAHI, the voice of the foothills.
San Francisco Giants baseball is on the Voice of the Foothills, KAHI, AM and FM.
And this is hit high and deep and out of here.
Into the bleachers, a two-run homer, 4-0 Giants. The throw to first, it's high, pulling the first baseman off the bag, and there's nobody at the plate. Jung-Hoo Lee very alertly sprints home to score the run.
Not able to tune into AM 950 KI whenever you want? That's not fair. Have a strict boss that only listens to music and never local news? He's not very informed then, but you knew that. Don't worry, you can get KI's up-to-the-minute news information and local advice from our talented KI news team anywhere you want now. Follow KI on Twitter or like KI on Facebook to receive local news updates multiple times a day. You can also download our KI radio app at KI.com and enjoy the Voice of the Foothills at AM 950 KI at any time, day or night.
Because KAHI cares. Here's another KAHI Community Bulletin Board.
Attention all cat lovers. Are you looking for a way to help cats in need? Look no further.
Animal Outreach of the Motherlode is a nonprofit organization dedicated to providing El Dorado County with services and programs that help eliminate pet overpopulation and reduce the euthanasia of adoptable animals. Animal Outreach serves over 6,000 cats and dogs each year through their low-cost spay, neuter, and vaccine clinic, and they are the only organization in the county to offer free spays and neuters for community cats through their sponsored once-per-month Free Feral Day. In addition, they also manage a feline rescue that allows them to care for and find homes for kittens and cats. So, if you're looking for a furry companion, please consider adopting from Animal Outreach. Animal Outreach has continued to thrive for almost 30 years due to the incredible support they receive from our community. Volunteers, donors, fosters, and adopters all serve important roles in their success. If you're interested in getting involved, please visit their website, animaloutreach.net. That's animaloutreach.net to learn more and reach out.
On the Talk Media Network, all natural and free of artificial intelligence.
Thank you for joining us on this Tuesday morning. So we're winding through here. You know, I was going to make this point based on Clark's conversation with us about the Southern Poverty Law Center. But before, we were done with the break, Bob in Moscow was on the phone making the same point. So I'm going to let him make it because it's about you, not me. Bob, good morning, sir. Thank you for calling. Tell everyone what you told me in the green room while we were in break.
Well, the Southern Poverty League had the best defense because they basically came in during Barack Obama's year as president and Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer in control, and the DOJ and the FBI all had knowledge and approved exactly what they were doing and probably were funding it through the CIA. That's the best defense the Southern Poverty League can have, to say, hey, we didn't think we were doing anything wrong because the U.S. government and the CIA authorized us to do it.
And the double defense is the government can say, we didn't do it. It's how all these non-government organizations work in the gray area of constitutionality. And it's funny because leftists will go on a rampage if some Blackwater or one of these, defense contracting companies goes into a place to run a jail, let's say, I don't know, pick a name, I don't know, out of a hat, Abu Ghraib or something. And then the government gets a black eye because of something they do. The Democrats lose their poop over it. But when you get these non-government organizations like the Southern Poverty Law Center inciting riots and paying for activists to create riots, I think there's the outcry should be just as equally robust, don't you?
Yes, and it goes even deeper than that. What do you think about the George Floyd, Black Lives Matter? What was the Southern Poverty League's involvement in all those cases and causes? And was that the back door to the authorization through the U.S. government and the CIA? What about the insurrection with all the FBI officers undercover in the audience? This all ties into the issue in America right now.
Well, because in our fixation on democracy, everything is something we need to vote on. So we need to create a theater that is going to make you want to vote our way. So if I want you to vote for bigger government and more oversight and less freedom and all of that, I need to put on some theater that will make you think that. And it's collusive. It's manipulative. Right. So
you have to be able to backdoor it. That's basically what they're doing.
So what we need to do is we need to get back to a place where the government isn't required to do so damn much. But beyond that, these non-government organizations have to be tied to their government sponsors because they're getting a get-out-of-jail-free card under this "it wasn't us" kind of stuff. And it's all fun and frolic when it's on your side. But I think what the administration has been doing has been catching them little by little and dragging them out into the sunlight. So hopefully this is just the tip of that iceberg.
Hey, one quick thing. You know what they say when two people come up with an excellent idea? Great minds think alike.
There you go. Well, that means I have something in common with great minds. You have a good morning, Bob.
You got it. Have a great day, sir.
You too. Bye-bye. 434-882-4217 is the phone number. I don't care about giving credit. I know, and it's interesting when you become entrepreneurial. Number one, people don't tell you how poor you become. You learn to pinch pennies like crazy. This is why when people say, "Oh, I was a business owner," and you say, "Oh, well, what gravity does that give you?" Well, it gives you the gravity of understanding what happens when you don't have money for something. And you're like, "Oh, we're going to have to find a way to do this if we think it's important." And it really gets you better at vetting what's important and not there as well. But when you go into something with the fear of losing something, it colors you. Fear is, well, it's the devil's workshop to begin with. And I want to pick up this fear into not just this program and how we can tell you the truthful analysis of the news without fearing for my job. My wife's my boss. So she's not going to fire me. Right, honey? Yeah. But that being said, I mean, it's a 51-49 thing. So I'm not worried about some guy getting a phone call saying, "Yeah, we heard Joe Thomas say something on his radio program and we're going to cancel your advertising," because I'm the one who's had the relationship with the advertisers. I'm here to inform as many people as possible and then just say, "Hey, go visit our advertisers." Be nice if you let them know that. But fear of loss has been a big driving factor in the Great Society and our economic decline. And I was just reading a piece. It's funny because this website claims to have this magnum opus about the entirety of the Republican Party is aligned against Donald Trump when it comes to bailing out Spirit Airlines. And they quote exactly 3 Congresspeople in the story, but they claim, was it Sufferer or Insufferable or whatever, it's a blog. They claim that there's this unanimous pushback against the idea of bailing out Spirit Airlines, saying that the coal mining companies were, one thing, U.S. Steel another thing, okay, and then the chip makers, how many things are we going to nationalize? And I'll be the first to tell you there's a million places to find the right answer in why Spirit Airlines could use some help from the government. But it's not, here's a bag full of taxpayer dollars. There are reasons that the government has caused Spirit Airlines issues in many ways. And so, the government can address those. They can address the minor coercive position of the 2 major American airlines, gobbling up all the portage and restricting how much time Frontier or Spirit or some of these folks can use a gate at an airport. But at the moment, people are about to lose their jobs. So the fear in a politician is, I need to do something right now.
Crime across the country is at an all-time high. It feels like even a family road trip is taking a risk. We don't want the feeling of being unprotected and vulnerable. We found GetCCL.com. GetCCL.com gave us the help we needed to apply for a legal concealed carry permit that's recognized in over half of the country. GetCCL.com simplifies the process to apply, and it's all online. We used their free qualification process to answer a few questions and applied for our permit right from home. Thanks to reciprocity laws between states, when you're issued a New Hampshire concealed carry permit, you can legally carry in any state that recognizes your New Hampshire permit. It only takes minutes to apply, so don't wait. Exercise your rights today. Ensure you're protecting your family at home and in other states. Have peace of mind. Apply today. Go to getccl.com. That's getccl.com. Go to getccl.com. Exercise your rights today. Go to getccl.com.
FM 104.5 K2A3CM Auburn and AM 950 KAHI Auburn.
Breaking news this hour from Town Hall. I'm Rich Thomason. Accused of advocating the assassination of President Trump, former FBI Director James Comey's been indicted.
In the Eastern District of North Carolina, it doesn't matter who you are. We take all threat cases seriously and prosecute anyone who violates federal law, regardless of title or status.
Ellis Boyle, the U.S. Attorney for the Eastern District of North Carolina. Comey insists he's innocent of arranging seashells on a North Carolina beach in such a way as to advocate the assassination of the president. He posted a picture of it on social media. State dinner at the White House last night for Britain's King Charles and Queen Camilla. Earlier, the monarch addressed joint meeting of Congress, acknowledging turbulent times that challenged the U.S., the U.K., and the world.
Ladies and gentlemen, we meet in times of great uncertainty, in times of conflict from Europe to the Middle East, which pose immense challenges for the international community and whose impact is felt in communities the length and breadth of our own country.
A 45-year-old man is under arrest on suspicion of attempted murder after a stabbing in a London neighborhood with a large Jewish population. It's under investigation as an anti-Semitic attack. The victims, man in his 30s and other in his 70s, said to be in stable condition. Fierce thunderstorms have swept across parts of Texas, sending at least 2 people to the hospital. Powerful winds ripping roofs off homes, flattening buildings and mineral wells. It's about 45 miles west of Fort Worth. Virginia's Supreme Court has refused to lift a lower court order blocking, at least from now, certification of that new Democrat-friendly congressional map in Virginia. Wall Street, the Dow is down 254 points. NASDAQ is off 24. More on these stories. townhall.com.
Health insurance rates are surging in America, leaving millions without affordable options. If you're sick of having paychecks eaten up by healthcare costs or dealing with mega corporations, then listen to this. Christians don't need to waste money on a broken system. That's why I want to tell you about Christian Healthcare Ministries. It's an alternative to traditional health insurance at half the cost. With CHM, fellow believers contribute monthly to help pay each other's medical bills. There's no enrollment period, so you can join anytime. And you aren't restricted to provider networks, so you choose the doctors and hospitals you want. It's that simple. CHM is not insurance. It's a ministry that puts faith into action. Feel the difference of financial support and biblical care from fellow believers. Join CHM today by visiting chministries.org/wellness. That's chministries.org/wellness.
A U.S. blockade is putting the squeeze on farmers in Cuba.
One major consequence is that fruits and vegetables cultivated in the island's rich soil don't always make it where they're needed the most. The owner of this farm cultivates sorghum, tomatoes, cassava, and other crops. He also has goats that provide milk to schools. But the lack of fuel means that sometimes all these products don't make it to certain cities and towns. The owner also has been obligated to hire people to manually do things that his equipment, now without gasoline, are unable to do.
That's correspondent Danica Cabo. A U.S. Special Forces soldier pleading not guilty in federal court in New York to charges of using classified information about the mission to capture former Venezuelan dictator Nicolas Maduro to win more than $400,000, accused of using the information on the prediction market, Polymarket. News and analysis, townhall.com. Could this spell the beginning of the end of OPEC, the United Arab Emirates, leaving the organization?
That strips the oil cartel of its third largest producer and further weakens its leverage over global oil supplies and prices. The UAE's decision had been rumored as a possibility for some time as it pushed back in recent years against OPEC production quotas it felt had been too low. Regional politics are also likely at play. The UAE has had increasingly frosty relations with Saudi Arabia, OPEC's largest producer, over political and economic matters in the Mideast, even after both came under attack by fellow OPEC member Iran during the war. Keith Peters, Washington.
The State Department is preparing a limited release of commemorative U.S. passports celebrating America's 250th birthday and featuring a picture of President Trump. More on these stories, townhall.com.
CT, MRI, and other radiology exams may cause anxiety and even fear if you don't know what to expect. Visit radiologyinfo.org. You will find easy-to-understand, up-to-date information on more than 260 radiology procedures, exams, and disease descriptions. Radiologyinfo.org also offers patient safety information, medical images, and videos of radiologists describing how to prepare and what to expect. There's even a section for children called Rad Info for Kids. Radiologyinfo.org is free and does not require registration and is available in English and Spanish. Best of all, Radiologyinfo.org is continually reviewed by medical experts to ensure that it's accurate and up to date. Visit radiologyinfo.org today. Produced by the Radiological Society of North America and the American College of Radiology.
Defiant and more MAGA now make America great again than I've ever been.
Making mornings great again. First thing today on the Talk Media Network by Joe Thomas.
If you ever need to get hold of us, well, just give us a ring.
A Tedsday dawns across central Virginia, and I appreciate your visits and any time you spend with us on your way into or out of your day. Pardon me. You know, Joel tells us about his allergies, and all of a sudden I get verklempt here. But wherever you are in your day, we appreciate the time that you share with us because it is precious to us, because it's precious to you. And if no one else tells you it is, they're lying to you there. We got our first things coming up, but Charlie was on the phone with us, called in during the news. Charlie, you're on the line with us. Good morning, sir. How are you doing, my friend?
I'm doing good. It's wonderful to be an American.
Amen to that.
Very seldom am I disappointed with the president, but I was really disappointed during his conversation with Norah O'Donnell.
How so?
Well, they said that he knew the question she was going to ask when she had accused him, asked him if he was a child pedophile. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
He should have very calmly looked at her and said, Norah, I know people who know people. He should have reached in his pocket, pulled out a piece of paper and said, Norah, I'm going to...
Oh gosh! Right when he was telling us, this is like one of those detective movies. You know, right when the guy confesses, you know, the lights go out, and then a lady screams, "Charlie, you were just about to say what he should have said, and your phone dropped out."
He should have pulled out the paper and said, "Norah, I've been told numerous times that after you graduated from college, you were a high-class working girl, but I don't go around telling them."
oh, that would have been must-see TV, Charlie.
He should have played around on her, Joe.
I know. You know, this is the thing. That's the double standard. You know, if we do it, it's journalism. If you do it, it's muckraking. I get you, Charlie. I've got to get to the news here, sir. You be good, my friend.
God bless you.
Our first things this morning, as you get into your day, the president, late night tweet posted that Iran has contacted the U.S. government, stating that they are in a state of collapse and trying to figure out their leadership situation, and they want to get together with the U.S. to discuss opening the Strait of Hormuz. Meanwhile, the United Arab Emirates, on the other side of the Strait of Hormuz, announced that as of Friday, they are leaving the Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries, known as OPEC, another bane in the side of the United States since the mid-1970s. It takes one of the largest producers out of the oil cartel. King Charles III marked the 250th anniversary celebration of the United States founding with the Declaration of Independence with a address to the joint session of Congress. One could argue if his forebearer, James III, if he had done that, perhaps we wouldn't have been doing this. But one of the most consequential alliances in human history, Charles went on to say, speaking of the United States and the United Kingdom. He then presented Donald Trump with a bell from a submarine called the HMS Trump. Tonight, Mr. President, it's our gift, may stand as testimony to our nation's shared history and shining future. And should you ever need to get a hold of us, just give us a ring. Showing that there are people who, when presented the opportunity to speak in front of President Trump, can actually make jokes. North Carolina State Board of Elections identified 34,000 dead people in the state's voter rolls following a data comparison with the federal database. The NCSBE, the North Carolina State Board of Elections, submitted 7.3 million voter records to the Systematic Alien Verification for Entitlements database as part of an initiative to strengthen the accuracy and integrity of the state's voter registration list. The NCSBE clarified the identification of deceased individuals on the rolls does not necessarily indicate illegal votes were cast, while we expect to find some cases this is higher than we anticipated. Negotiations over the Strait of Hormuz have stalled, but according to a New York Post report, the Arab nations in and around Iran have signaled to Tehran that they're on the side of the United States, and that this may be why Tehran is texting with the president.
Hi, this is Bud Foster, co-host of Foster and Friends and former Virginia Tech football coach. When I brought the famed lunch pail to our team, it symbolized teamwork. The word win stood for what's important now. The Lunch Pail Defense Foundation realizes the importance of helping others. Our foundation is a nonprofit corporation that helps fund academic scholarship for eligible high school students. Since 2009, the Lunch Pail Defense Foundation has raised nearly $400,000 and awarded over 40 individual scholarships. We also support an organ transplant program in conjunction with Duke University Medical Center. For information regarding corporate sponsorship or becoming an individual,
did you know that healthy arteries make a gas? Yes, actually 3 known gases. Hi, I'm Dr. Mitch, and nitric oxide is a gas that's readily made all day long to keep our arteries open by relaxing the blood vessel walls. By doing this, our circulation is increased, bringing blood, oxygen, and nutrients to every part of your body. Both age and poor diet can lead to a loss of this precious gas, and in turn, blood pressure can go up, energy can go down, and you can get tingling in your hands and feet. Well, our product, Ultimate Nitric Oxide, can easily help fix this lack of nitric oxide. Go to TotalWellness.com. That's TotalWellness.com, where we are helping you to look good, feel good, and enjoy total wellness.
FM 104.5 KAHI and AM 950 KAHI.
It's hot to the max in the summer, and your air conditioner gives up the ghost. Who are you going to call? ACP Mechanical, that's who. I did, and I can't believe what a great job they did in my home. It's cool and comfortable with a job well done. Hi, Mary Jane Papier. Whether it's cooling or heating, Enrique and his ACP mechanical team can install, repair, commercial or residential, no matter what HVAC system you have or want. And they've done it for over 20 years. Air conditioners, heat pumps, furnaces, thermostats, all quality and affordable solutions. And they're bonded and insured. I know you'll love their work. I do. Call ACP Mechanical 916-704-8556. That's 916-704-8556 for all your comfort needs. That's ACP Mechanical 916-704-8556 and expect an expert job well done and right the first time.
Catch Sinatra and Friends Saturdays and Sundays right here on 104.5 FM and AM 950 KAHI. Join Frank and his friends, Sammy, Dean, Tony Bennett, and more, performing songs from the Great American Songbook. Sinatra and Friends Weekends, brought to you by Naturewood Home Furnishings on Folsom Boulevard in Rancho Cordova. Right here on the Voice of the Foothills, 104.5 FM, AM 950, and streaming all over the world at KAHI.com.
Hi, this is Dr. Dahlia, and I'm thrilled to announce that I've joined the KAHI radio team. Each weekday morning from 9 to noon, I'm live on KAHI. We tackle issues like cholesterol, diabetes, women's health, children, geriatrics, relationships, and more. And with all that's going on in Washington, we even touch on government and policies impacting your health. The Dr. Dahlia Show is also a live call-in medical talk show that answers your questions on the air. Join me, Dr. Dahlia, Monday through Friday from 9 to noon here on FM 104.5 and AM 950 KAHI, the voice of the foothills.
Wednesday weather forecast is calling for mostly sunny skies today, 70 to 75, and light west winds. It'll be around 50 overnight, mostly clear, almost calm. Mid to upper 70s expected Thursday and Friday. Some nice spring weather, mostly sunny skies expected Thursday and Friday. Looks like the nice weather will continue over the weekend with sunshine in the 70s. This is meteorologist Tim Root from FM 104.5 and AM 950 KAHI.
Are you ready to explore the unexplained, dive into the bizarre, and journey to the other side of midnight? I'm Frank Morano, your host for the most compelling late-night talk show in America. From conspiracy theories to cosmic mysteries, from politics to pop culture, we cover it all, and then some. Join me weeknights from 2 to 6 a.m. right here on the Voice of the Foothills, FM 104.5 and AM 950 KAHI. Don't just stay up late. Stay curious.
I take care of the kids, and I take care of my dad. I take care of things at work. The groceries, the cleanups, the meltdowns, the doctor's visits, the family events, mealtimes, bedtimes. I take care of all the things everyone else needs. But I haven't made time to take care of what I need.
Family caregivers are often overloaded. It can feel overwhelming and exhausting. It's no surprise that millions of caregivers experience symptoms of anxiety and depression every year. But help is available because there may only be one you, but you don't have to do it alone. Head to mentalhealthcareworks.org. That's mentalhealthcareworks.org to learn how to get the support you deserve, because mental health care works when you make the call. If you're experiencing a mental health crisis or thoughts of suicide, dial 988, a message from the American Psychiatric Association Foundation.
All right, I got a message for you. Radio is the way to go if you want to advertise. Targeting your customers, any shape or size. Radio is a perfect way to tell them who and where you are. They listen at work, they listen at home, and you got them in that car. You got to go with radio when you want to advertise. Here we go. Watch me now. Hard rock and soft rock and easy listening too. Up and down the dialer formats just for you. Country, classic, talk, and gospel stations. Every market across the land has got a station for your situation. The cost is low, and radio is theater of the mind. You can present your information with imagination. If you want to get your message across, get your message across the airways with radio. Call them. They will come right over. Remember, you got to go with radio when you want to advertise. There are lots of stations just your size.
First Thing Today on the Talk Media Network by Joe Thomas.
Yes, it is. That's what we do. Just playing with your head. That's what we're doing. That's how long Ted's D has been a thing musically. I mean, we were talking mid-'60s, Ted was swinging it. There's somewhere, I don't know, it's Double Live Gonzo or something like that. There's a Ted Nugent solo version of the Amboy Dukes there from his gestative phases there at 434-882-4217 of this Ted's D morning when we celebrate God's gifts to you and your, shall we use the phrase, liberal application of them to a grateful constituency. A couple of things on the economy and wages and how this feeds the beast of the American left. Mark writes in, I heard you talking about Ron Paul earlier, and you have to be careful because what you're talking about are wage and price controls. And this is what communist countries do. Well, no. I'm talking about the opposite, actually. I'm talking about take all wage and price controls off. And if a restaurant wants to pay their busboys $20 an hour because an immaculate dining room is important to them, let them. That being the point, also firing them for failing to do that should be allowed as well. And we're seeing more and more government incursion into what a business is allowed to do. Renters, in this zeal for affordability, Governor Spanberger celebrated her first 100 days as a mole for the CIA and Virginia government, as Clark said. She celebrated by saying one of her landmark achievements was more regulation on property renters regarding how and when they can evict somebody for not paying. And you realize that even before Governor Spanberger got into office, it could take upwards of 6 months to go through the process of evicting somebody. I mean, it's not as crazy as it was in Florida, where all you had to do was be there. You didn't even have to be a leaseholder. If you just squatted in Florida, you can't get him out. He's in the building, and we have, for everything that everyone says is great about Florida. I mean, that's nutty. That's nuttier than squirrel poo. But I want everyone to be able to earn what you will. If you have a restaurant and an immaculate bathroom is important to you, look at what Buc-ee's, the chain of Buc-ee's, pays the guy who cleans the men's room. I think he makes more than I do. Often a retiree, but he's working because it's important to their business, so they invest in it. That's what a free market does, and that's what I was talking about, Mark. Matt had a point about a story we really haven't spent any time on, but it's a big stand, right? Matt. So, you saw something in the headlines, didn't you?
After everything James Comey has done, this is the best they can get him on?
Yeah, some shells on the beach. This is a little bit. So you've already jumped ahead of me here. I was going to mention this is Blue Dress 2. This is okay. So we've got the Clintons shredding documents that indicate that they helped collude with the McDougalls to make themselves money while they were governor and first lady of Arkansas. I want to know about that. That's a crime. I don't give a damn if Bill Clinton cheats on his wife with the staff. I'm not that prurient. I know, it's a corruptible thing. I understand that, if somebody is, dallying with the staff. It's something that an influencer could use to sway public policy. But I wanted him hung out to dry over Whitewater. And when Ken Starr couldn't make that case, and I've had investigators say this all the time, say, okay, so the Rose Law Firm shredded documents. There are other documents at the other side of it. My friends at the Government Accountability and Oversight all the time, they were going after what was his face? The hockey stick guy, Michael Mann. Michael Mann was working at the University of Virginia, and the University of Virginia was stonewalling him on his emails. So that, you know what they did? They went to the University of Arizona and said, hey, I think, you may have emails with these names on it. And guess what? They found the other side of the emails. So like, hey, UVA, we found all those emails you couldn't find in Arizona. And that's how you do it. So, okay, you shredded documents. There are other documents that are on the other side of any deal that was made. Find those, say what happened to these ones, because destroying evidence is a crime. I'd rather have seen Bill and Hillary go down for destroying evidence than I would have, I guess Vince Foster would have been caught up in that too, and he destroyed evidence himself. But this is the Comey thing. It's like, okay, get him on colluding to the Steele dossier and Russia collusion gate and all of that. Don't give me shells on the beach. I don't know. I agree with you.
This is it. It was so disappointing when I heard. I mean, I saw the headline that Comey was indicted, and I thought, finally, we're going to get the bastard. And then they start reading the story, and it's like, for this? What? I mean, yes, okay, fine. They got Al Capone for tax evasion. That doesn't make me happy.
Well, you know why they got Al Capone for tax evasion, to tie it back around to Bill and Hillary? Because he was filing tax returns for money he couldn't prove he earned. Where'd the money come from, Al? It was gifts from friends. It wasn't protection racket money, Al. It wasn't, money for illegal alcohol, Al.
It fell off the back of a truck.
Yeah, what was I going to do? Give it away?
Yeah.
But so there's always a way to find these things out. Well pointed out, Matt. You have a blessed morning, sir.
All right, you take care, Joe.
Charles writes in, Jimmy Kimmel as a shock jock, which was my point about, his quote humor. I mean, this is what Jimmy Kimmel does. He doesn't say things that are funny. He says things that make you go. So when he said, Melania Trump has the glow of an expected widow, that's what you expect. Charles writes in, when Howard Stern goes low, Jimmy Kimmel goes lower. Well, that was the Jimmy Kimmel, Howard Stern. All these guys were a product of that 80s and 90s. We don't want to actually write humor. We just want to make you go, and there's a point to shock jockery. If you are going to make a point about society and get everyone looking at some festering sore that needs to be addressed, okay. But it became just almost the grandparents of this clickbait economy.
In a study, it was found that 33% of 44 herbal supplements had no trace of the advertised herb. Don't let that happen to you. Hi, this is Dr. Mitch. If you want to ensure quality, please go to totalwellness.com. Supplements made for physicians only now available to you too. TotalWellness.com, helping you to look good, feel good, and enjoy total wellness.
Would your car perform better with premium gas or regular? What do octane ratings mean? I'm Ron Ananian in the Car Doctor, your automotive prescription, right after this.
Increase fuel economy up to 7.9% with Hot Shot Secret Gasoline Extreme. The solution to maximize your engine's performance and fuel economy. Whether you're driving a sports car or a daily commuter, Gasoline Extreme is specially formulated with PEA to deep clean. Don't settle for an average driving experience. Upgrade to Hot Shot Secret Gasoline Extreme and go further on each tank. Order now on Amazon or HotShotSecret.com. Hot Shot Secret, powered by science.
Today's modern vehicle, whether it's a car, SUV, or light truck, is designed with a specific fuel in mind. Read your owner's manual. What octane rating does the vehicle manufacturer call for? That's what you should use. But there are exceptions to the rule. Many high-end or luxury vehicles call for premium or higher octane fuel. And the reason for this is not just due to the octane rating. There are better fuel system cleaners in premium fuels. Gasoline companies know, too, that vehicles that run on premium won't perform as well with carbon deposits. So they pack more cleaning power into their premium fuels than their regular blend. If you rotate your fuel choices around, say, every third tank full, you may find better performance and miles per gallon because you are cleaning your engine and fuel system while you drive. Just don't tell your mechanic you're trying to replace them anytime soon. With your automotive prescription, I'm Ron Ananian, the Car Doctor. See you next time.
FM 104.5 KAHI and AM 950 KAHI.
All sofas are on sale now at Naturewood Home Furnishings. Come visit today and choose from the best selection of sofas, sectionals, chairs, and recliners. At Naturewood, it's all about choices and always about quality, including gallery-exclusive custom-order flex steel furniture. You get to choose the colors and fabrics that are right for your lifestyle. And all come with Flex Steel's superior blue steel highest quality spring construction. Hurry, Naturewood sofa sale ends soon. And tell them Brooklyn Nova and Orion sent you.
Sarcoma. Odds are you've never heard that word before. But for the 40 people diagnosed with sarcoma every day, it is a life-changing word. Life-changing and devastating because sarcoma is cancer. Sarcoma is a cancer of bone and soft tissue more prevalent in children than in adults. More than 6,000 people lose their lives to sarcoma each year. Treatment options for sarcoma are limited, and new therapies are desperately needed. More research and increased awareness is necessary to find a cure for a cancer that you probably didn't even know existed until now. Through awareness, advocacy, and research, the Sarcoma Foundation of America is determined to help those affected by this forgotten cancer, to bring hope to the children and adults whose lives are forever changed by a word they had never heard before. Please help us in the fight to find the cure for sarcoma. For more information on sarcoma and the work of the Sarcoma Foundation of America, please go to curesarcoma.org.
When your mind creates an image, it's vivid. When your mind imagines a smell,
the bread, she's already.
it's as enticing as being in the kitchen. And when your mind interprets a sound, you're standing there watching the action. Radio, the medium that works with your mind. Radio paints the picture. Radio touches the senses. Radio constructs the vision you never see. When radio is used creatively, effectively, it brings sight, sound, and feelings to everyone. Use radio for your message. There's no better way to get the word out. Call this station for details on radio, the medium that works with your mind.
Listen to the Garden Goddesses Saturday morning at 8 a.m. here on the Voice of the Foothills.
If you want to be kept in the plant know, join us on our radio show. The Garden Goddesses, Saturday mornings from 8 to 9 a.m. on the one and only KAHI Radio, AM 950, FM 104.5, the Voice of the Foothills. Call in to win a prize from Green Acres Nursery and Supply.
How serious is youth vaping? Irreversible lung damage serious. 1 in 10 kids vape serious, which warrants a serious conversation from a serious parental figure like yourself. Not the seriously know-it-all sports dad or the seriously smart podcaster. It requires a serious conversation that is best had by you. No, seriously, the best person to talk to your child about vaping is you. To start the conversation, visit talkaboutvaping.org. Brought to you by the American Lung Association and the Ad Council.
Hi, this is Jimmy J. Let's get together this Saturday night at 8 p.m. for the Rewind Show on KAHI, the first station in the world to ever broadcast this show. And thanks to you, boy, have we grown. If you haven't already, be sure to tune in to find out what the rest of the world is talking about. The stars you grew up with are always on Rewind. Saturday night, 8 p.m., right here on the Voice of the Foothills, AM 950, KAHI.
Listen anytime you like. We won't tell your HR director, but we might post it to your Grindr profile. First Thing Today by Joe Thomas on the Talk Media Network.
It is time for our sports director, Mac McDonald, to open his notebook for us, makes all the doodles and what he actually thinks of the Patriots head football coach. By the way, I don't know, we have dear friends who listen on KAHI in Sacramento. I got a text message hearing that you were a big A's fan, and they wanted to know if you were still following them as they rate in Sacramento.
Absolutely. Green and gold. Absolutely. The greatest story I have to go with that is, and this goes back to my first radio job in 1975, and I was in Shenandoah, Iowa, and it was a big softball hotbed. I mean, slow pitch, but hotbed. We played King in his court one year for a charity thing. Our radio station was KMA, and I went to the general manager. And longtime station. I mean, it's been on the air since 1925 or whatever. I went to the general manager, Andy Anderson. I said, Andy, our team we're competing in this league. They've all got full uniforms. He goes, okay, that's fine. What do you need? Whatever. We became the KMAs.
Oh, nice.
We had the gold shirts. We had gold shirts, green pants, white shoes. It was the best. No. I still have the jersey hangs up in my closet to this day.
Nice.
The KMA jersey with number 9, which was my tribute to Reggie Jackson. I was a big Reggie Jackson guy who played for the A's. Okay.
I was pleased to see they actually put Sacramento on the team uniforms this year. Last year it was like, no, we're not going to do that. We're only here for a little while. Well, you know what? You're asking people to drop their do-re-mi into your till.
None of the media people refer to them as like the Sacramento 8. No, it's just the A's and they don't want to say Vegas because their place isn't built anyway. All right, I have several bad habits.
Really?
Oreo cookies. Just days I don't want to work out or do anything. Can't make 3-footers under pressure. I have a lot of bad habits, but I tell you, here's the thing. I will remain. One of my bad habits is to follow the people who think they're really freaking good and that they deserve everything. And so thank you, Diego Pavia now will give me 3 years of, all right, the Ravens signed him. He wasn't drafted. All right. The Ravens signed him to a 3-year deal. They invite him to rookie minicamp, and so he secured a little future, I guess, with Baltimore. They opted to sign him after signing UConn quarterback Joe Fagnano, who also went undrafted. Now, the Ravens want to ensure that both Pavia and Fagnano are on equal footing heading into minicamp. Well, all right, so what did Diego learn from Coach Clark Lee at Vanderbilt? So he became definitely big man on campus. He propelled, they had upsets over Alabama, big wins on the road and everything. But he refused. But what he did at the Heisman and the Heisman stunt when he was runner-up, goes to the restaurant, he writes on their chalkboard words I can't say. And all of a sudden, he showed his. But anyway, what did he learn from Vandy and Coach Clark Lee?
Coach Lee always preached that, you're not, your frontal lobe isn't fully developed until you're 25. And I just turned 24, so I got like 360 more days to go.
Yeah, good. Okay, your frontal lobe is not developed. And, of course, he spent 6 years in college. But, he's 24 years old, all right? Yeah. He threw for, 3,500 yards, 29 touchdowns, and, he ran the ball well or whatever. But there's always been questions about, his height, his arm strength, and so he went undrafted. But now but he goes at 5'10", it doesn't matter. Just go ahead and watch the tape.
The guys that I'm playing every single Saturday are the guys you're drafting first round. Mm-hmm. So, why does 5'10" really even matter? Go watch the tape.
So I'm sorry. It's a sickness. And Joe, I will try not to bring Diego Pavia to the notebook section every week. There might be times his press conference, I will be monitoring his press conference.
I think we need to develop. I think we should develop a Diego Pavia Award of the Week, like somebody who has taken everything that's been handed to them and pooped on it.
Great Glenn Brenner. Remember Glenn Brenner? He was the sports guy, Washington, D.C., died way too soon of a brain hemorrhage. He ran the Washington, D.C. Marathon, the Marine Corps Marathon. He ended up dying. Glenn Brenner used to have a watch list for the Yankees. He used to have a watch list. We had a big board. Billy Martin hired, Billy Martin fired. Billy Martin, and he used to it was one of the funny. Anyway, I will have a Diego Pavia probably watch and keep going. So if any of our listeners want to contribute, if they know, feel free to. Okay. Anyway, let's move on. Here we go again. It's May 8th, opening night in the WNBA. Why do we care? Okay.
Didn't they just have their playoffs?
They have a new contract. They play a great brand of basketball. I love, and again, I have a sickness, not just because she's from Iowa, and that's where I was born, Des Moines, Iowa. She went to Dowling because Caitlin Clark is the league. Caitlin Clark is, as long as she stays healthy, the league, and people don't want to admit it. Players don't want to admit it. Well, on Saturday night, Kennedy Carter refused to answer questions. And by the way, she spells her name Chenedy. Right. Refused to answer questions about the bump that she gave her that knocked her to the floor, sending the message that, this is the way it's going to be. And then she goes to social media and says, look, Caitlin, you didn't see her hit me in the face earlier, and then they exchanged pleasantries using B words and F words and the whole thing. So they had a nice exchange, trash talk and whatever. So Caitlin Clark, after the game, basically said, okay, it's welcome to the league.
I feel like I'm just at the point where you accept it and don't retaliate. Just let them hit you, be what it is. Don't let it get inside your head. And know it's coming. I think at this point, I know I'm going to take a couple hard shots a game. It is what it is, I guess. I don't know.
Okay, so we'll just have to keep an eye on that. Now, the Diana Rossini, Mike Vrabel story. I understand that people are enamored by, they like to throw dirt on people, whatever. I don't care about their story. What I enjoy is watching what the media has been doing to Diana Rossini and Mike Vrabel. The media has gone so deep into Diana Rossini's life, pulling podcast episodes where she rips her husband, calls him ugly. I didn't marry a superstar. I didn't, blah, blah, blah. Just building this case about, well, today, Larry Brown Sports, it's a website I go to once in a while to pick up a story, pick up a headline or whatever. So now this guy followed Diana. They went back into her Spotify account, which she has since deleted. Now, Spotify, of course, is streaming, the streaming service that you build playlists. You can do, things music. Because I have a beach playlist. I have a golf playlist. But anyway, he goes into the Diana Rossini. He found her playlist from 4 years ago. Okay, it was a playlist that she created apparently for Mike Vrabel after the Titans had lost 4 games in a row. She felt that did you ever build a cassette tape when you were we were building cassettes, not so much 8 tracks when all, but we were building cassettes for our girlfriends in college. Hey, well, all right, so she built a playlist, and the playlist now has been released. Okay, with such the 4-game losing streak, it was Last Resort, Welcome to the Jungle, Days of Fun, Dance the Night Away, Renegade, American Girl. So that
nice.
They've released the songs that Diana. So again, I'm not throwing dirt on the whole thing. And Diana and Vrabel, okay, it's their lives. It's personal. The whole thing. The team stood up for Vrabel. They love him. It's all good. But the media remind me not to do anything. God knows, please, if I do anything wrong, not that I'm not under any spotlight, but if you're a superstar, God knows, don't do anything.
Well, but this is a media that will just go by and say, "Hey, we heard that Donald Trump was on the phone with the Ukrainian president," and that's it. But exactly. We're going to spend weeks on what's her name, Rossini?
Diana Rossini is NFL Network, and they've got all these. Really, they're showing meme after meme. Her sitting in a chair.
I wish
legs, leather mini skirts. I mean, it has gone.
I wish.
Way too far.
I wish I knew somebody who educated younger people in the ways of sports journalism. I wish I knew somebody who ran a school.
Somebody, right?
Gosh, what a mess. That's what we're spending our time. And I don't want to hear another newspaper publisher telling me how expensive it is to hire journalists if this is what we're spending our time on. And that's why we don't get any news. Fun. Oh, good stuff, Mac. Brought to you by the Lunch Pail Foundation, lunchpaildefense.org, helping kids get scholarships. It's what's important now. Spells win.
Have a great Wednesday.
Can you believe, with all the recent violent protests, looting, and destruction, some areas are considering either defunding or abolishing the police? At a time when America's neighborhoods need the protection of police the most, some elected officials would rather create more chaos by playing politics. If you're sick of elected officials caving in to demands of the radical left, you're not alone. It's time we stand up and declare our support for local police. The majority of police officers are important partners in protecting our God-given rights. If you prefer freedom over chaos, then learn how you can help protect the local police that serve your community. Call today and request your free Support Your Local Police info packet. Dial 800-JBS-USA1. That's 800-JBS-USA1. Request your free Support Your Local Police info packet by calling 800-JBS-USA1 today.
FM 104.5 KAHI and AM 950 KAHI.
Hey there, KAHI listeners. Producer Adam here to remind you that Chris in the Morning really is the best way to start your day. And he's not paying me to say this at all. Wink. And yes, he really is holding it down in beautiful Studio A in the KAHI Worldwide Headquarters Studios, Monday through Fridays, 6 to 9 a.m. Chris in the Morning here on FM 104.5, AM 950, and streaming all over the world at KAHI.com. Now, where is that $3 gift card he said he'd leave me for saying nice things about him? Man, that guy's a cheapskate.
Wednesday weather forecast is calling for mostly sunny skies today, 70 to 75, and light west winds. It'll be around 50 overnight, mostly clear, almost calm. Mid to upper 70s expected Thursday and Friday, some nice spring weather. Mostly sunny skies expected Thursday and Friday. Looks like the nice weather will continue over the weekend with sunshine in the 70s. This is meteorologist Tim Root from FM 104.5 and AM 950 KAHI.
Can we change our lives for the better? We've got some self-help ideas to help you out on Pop Talk this week. Spirituality and how it can change our lives. That's important too. Hi, Mary Jane Pop here. Are we frittering away money just by everyday bad habits? And do you believe that you can connect with those who have passed on? I've got a medium who gives us the answer as we go in search of truth on Pop Talk, Saturday 5 to 7 a.m., Sunday 9 to 11 p.m., and 24/7 at KAHI.com. Click and listen, and we'll make a Pop Talk connection.
Because KAHI cares, here's another KAHI Community Bulletin Board.
If food rules your life, call Overeaters Anonymous. Get help and support from a group that understands. Weekly meetings are on Wednesday at 10 a.m. at Unity of Auburn, 1212 High Street. There are no weigh-ins, dues, or fees, but donations are accepted. For more information, call Sherry at 530-921-8028 or go to OA.org. OA includes all eating disorders.
You served behind the desk.
You served in combat.
You did 4 years and got out.
You were drafted.
You gave 20 years.
You gave exactly what your country needed.
And so did you.
When you raised your hand and swore an oath to your country, when you put your name on a dotted line, you became part of only 1% of Americans who did the same. You are a veteran.
You are a veteran.
You are a veteran. Because no matter when, where, or how you served, you made a sacrifice for your country, and you deserve support.
If you're struggling with life after service, don't wait. Reach out.
Reach out to a loved one, to a fellow veteran, to VA.
Find resources at va.gov/reach.
Brought to you by the United States Department of Veterans Affairs and the Ad Council.
Auburn's department store, McCullough's, has something for everyone. From the latest styles for men, women, and adorable kids' clothes and toys. They bring the best brands to the foothills. You can skip the big box store stress and the parking hassles. There's plenty of free parking at McCullough's with quality service and that classic neighborhood feel. Save time, gas, and money by shopping at McCullough's in the Auburn Town Center, right off of Elm.
Anderson Sierra Pipe is a proud supporter of the Garden Goddesses on KAHI. For retail supply needs, visit Anderson's at 825 Nevada Street in Auburn. If you're looking for irrigation supplies or need guidance on how to be water wise, Anderson's can help with everything from fertilizing to weed control and drainage. Anderson's is the area's largest supplier of pellets and energy logs, and they're fully stocked for summer orders to save on future price increases. Call Anderson's at 530-885-8475. If you're looking for service, repair, or water testing, Anderson's Service Department is at 385 Chamberlain Avenue. Call the service team at 530-888-3756.
Advertise with KAHI Radio, the voice of the foothills, and you'll reach those who matter most. Your local customers for your local business. Here's Fred Penny of Penny & Associates to tell you why he uses KAHI Radio.
This is Fred Penny of Penny & Associate Injury Lawyers, and I choose to advertise on AM 950 KAHI Radio because it works.
So call our KAHI sales team at 530-885-5636. That's 530-885-5636 to start your local advertising today.
Markley, Van Camp, and Robbins.
I see this video, and there's this lady in the middle of the crowd. She looks like an extra either out of Lord of the Rings or out of the new Exorcist movie. Listen, I'm convinced that was a freaking demon that was there.
There were a lot of them out there.
Yeah, whatever that was wearing shoes so you couldn't see the hooves.
Weekdays from 1 to 4 on the voice of the foothills.
FM 104.5 and AM 950 KAHI.
So, as we open up our Caring Beyond Cancer notebooks this morning and try to write down some good notes, good information for us to share, Dr. Walker Juilliard is on with us, esophageal cancer. And Doctor, first and foremost, thank you for joining us. How are you doing this morning, sir?
Hey, I'm doing well. Thank you for having me.
This particular one, given my industry, it should be a bigger issue for folks in my industry to think about it. And then I ran into a competitor or whatever, another radio host who had suffered esophageal cancer, and had, I think, the most Twilight Zone-esque thing have to happen, removal of this pardon me, so you're the doctor, esophagus and his tongue, and lost the ability to speak, and he was a radio person, and it's horrific. And there are so many different ways, and I know people think, esophageal cancer, this must be connected to smoking. Is it? Because I've heard other things about, acid reflux and other things. What should people be watching out for so that this essential part of our pulmonary system doesn't develop cancer?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. So, if you think about the esophagus, it's really the food tube connecting, the back of our throats down to our abdomen and the stomach there. So it runs through the chest, starting up in the neck. And there's really two forms of esophagus cancer, and they're two kind of different types of diseases. The classic one is what we call the type of it's called a squamous cell. That's usually up higher in the top of the chest and to the back of the neck. And that is associated with things like smoking and alcohol use.
Okay.
It's also really associated with smoked foods, smoked meats, and globally, that's the biggest cause of esophageal cancer. So we see a lot in Asia, see in Africa. In the U.S., over the past 20 to 30 years, that has actually been on the decrease and on the decline. So that type of esophageal cancer we're seeing less and less of, which is good. But at the same time, what we're seeing more of is a cancer that is really right at the end of the esophagus as it meets the stomach down in the abdomen. And that is a different type of cell problem. And that one is associated with acid reflux, is associated with obesity. Mm-hmm. So as we're seeing more of an increase in the, here in the States, with an increase in obesity and an increase in acid reflux, we're seeing more and more of that type of an esophageal cancer. And that's what, as physicians, we see a lot of these days here in the States.
And it's as I understand, the acid reflux becomes almost a self-consuming situation. You have a little bit of it, and that causes damage. So you have a little bit more of it, and it causes more damage. So you really need to get out in front of that before anything else, right, Doc?
Yeah. So what happens is, our bodies are smart, and the esophagus has a different type of cells in it than the stomach does. And the body, when it sees all this acid up in the esophagus, it tries to change the cells of the esophagus to stomach cells, basically. And when it does that, whenever the body's changing cell types, it gives the chance to develop cancers. So that process is what we call Barrett's metaplasia. But once people develop Barrett's, then it can keep developing into little cells of cancer and then big cancers as well. So in folks that have acid reflux, it's something to think about, that you can develop this kind of Barrett's disease. And then if you do have Barrett's, that progression from Barrett's to cancer takes a bit, but it's really important to kind of be talking to your gastroenterologist about it so that they're watching the Barrett's and making sure that it doesn't become cancer.
Are there, obviously there's the feeling, when you have acid reflux, but are there things you mentioned obesity, but I imagine even people who don't have that problem can have acid reflux, can't they?
Yeah, for sure. No, a lot of folks in this, a lot of folks have acid reflux, and if people that have daily acid reflux are more at risk. We still don't. It's not high enough of a risk that we recommend screening just based on acid reflux at low levels. But it is important, if you have long standing acid reflux, that your doc is aware of it. Your primary care, and then it is important that you see a gastroenterologist every once in a while to make sure that you're not developing stuff like Barrett's, because we know it's a pretty stepwise progression. So it's good to have, if you have acid reflux, it's good to have, an upper endoscopy, or an EGD as it's kind of called, which is kind of the colonoscopy of, the esophagus. So it's important to do that, and gastroenterologists are aware of that. So if you've got daily acid reflux, it's important to talk to a doctor about that and make sure that you're on top of it.
Is there, and Dr. Juilliard is with, no, not Juilliard, although that would be ironic. He is with the University of Virginia Medical System and working in esophageal cancer there. I know that a lot of folks, when they get heartburn, which I guess is the common we still call it heartburn, I guess. But, it's the Pepto-Bismol, it's the Tums, it's over all this OTC stuff. Does that help, or is that just masking symptoms of something you need to be paying more acute attention to?
Well, that's really a great question. So over the last, 20 years or so, we've, gone a lot. So a lot of people taking over-the-counters like pantoprazole, omeprazole. Those are great drugs. They work really well. They get rid of the symptoms. I don't think that, for a long time we've asked, well, does that stop the chance of developing these other things? It can slow it down. It can slow down that rate of Barrett's and everything that comes after it with esophageal cancer, but it doesn't completely eliminate it. So it's important, even if you're not having the symptoms, but you're not having the symptoms because you're taking, 1 or 2 of these pills a day, that you still talk to your doctor about it, because any kind of exposure, now you don't have acid in the stomach with those medicines, but you have kind of a basic solution, and still that exposure of the esophagus can still cause it to go on that pathway of, going on the cancer pathway. It's really whenever those stomach juices, whatever the pH of them is, bathed in the esophagus starts to go down that pathway.
Right. We're trying to roll sevens here when it comes to pH, Doc. What is the treatment? To scare some people here, what is the treatment for, we talked about the upper end esophageal cancer. We have a minute left. What are some of the things, if you get this kind of cancer, what has to happen?
Yeah, it depends on your stage, but for the most part, for patients that present early enough, with the treatment, usually with a combination of chemotherapy and then sometimes radiation or immunotherapy and then surgery. And the surgery is, to remove a large portion of the esophagus, not the entire thing, all the way to the back of the throat, but, to remove a large portion of it from the chest and replace it with kind of a new esophagus made out of the stomach. That's what we do here a fair amount of. And, things to really look out for that are kind of warning symptoms in folks that have acid reflux, or if you start having difficulty swallowing, things like that, that can mean that sometimes there's a little bit of, that's concerning for potentially some tumor formation.
You know, it's true. Difficult times have a way of focusing us. We have to think about what matters most when it comes to our spending, our health care. This is why so many people are joining MediShare right now. MediShare is a trusted way to save up to 50% on your monthly health care costs. More than 400,000 people have already made the switch. It's pretty obvious why, too, especially now during this challenging season with healthcare costs and out-of-pocket expenses going up. MediShare can save you a lot of money. The typical family saves $500 a month. MediShare works, too. It's been around for 30 years. Members have shared more than $5 billion of each other's bills. There are different options to choose from to fit your budget. I'll give you the number here in a second, and if you call, you can get a price within 2 minutes. Maybe now is the perfect time to make the switch and start saving. Here you go. Call 855-SHARE-40. That's 855-SHARE 40. 855-SHARE-40.
FM 104.5, K283CM, Auburn, and AM 950, KAHI, Auburn.
Breaking news this hour from Town Hall. I'm Rich Thomason. The Supreme Court has struck down a majority black congressional district in Louisiana. The High Court concludes the district, represented by Democrat Cleo Fields, relied too heavily on race in the way it was drawn up. 6-3 ruling fell along partisan lines. The Trump administration is pushing Congress to move quickly on funding the Department of Homeland Security.
The White House is warning Congress that funds to pay Department of Homeland Security personnel will soon run out. The Office of Management and Budget says in a memo that failure to pass legislation could spark new threats of airport disruptions and national security concerns. The House has come to a standstill as Speaker Mike Johnson and Republican lawmakers are tangled over various issues, including the Homeland Security funds. The memo could help the GOP leader pressure lawmakers to act. It says funding that President Donald Trump tapped to pay workers through executive actions will be exhausted by May. I'm Lisa Dwyer.
Britain's King Charles and Queen Camilla are in New York City to meet with first responders and victims' families at the 9/11 memorial.
During his address to Congress yesterday, King Charles reflected on the attacks which took place 25 years ago this September.
We stood with you then, and we stand with you now in solemn remembrance of a day that shall never be forgotten.
The king noted that NATO came to America's aid in the aftermath of 9/11. Greg Clugston, Washington.
Knife attack in a predominantly Jewish neighborhood in London declared a terrorist incident by police. 45-year-old man is under arrest. 2 men wounded. They're hospitalized in stable condition. Voting along party lines, the Senate Banking Committee approving the nomination of Kevin Warsh to serve as Fed chairman. The final hurdle, a vote by the full Senate, probably next month. On Wall Street, the Dow down 247 points. Townhall.com.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-583-0141. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS. Generous programs are now available that can give you a fresh start. Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems. We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau. You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com or call 800-583-0141. That's 800-583-0141. Tax Relief Advocates, real solutions for real people.
Russia's traditional parade marking the defeat of Nazi Germany during World War II will take place this year, but without military hardware.
It will be the first time since Moscow launched its full-scale invasion of Ukraine in 2022 that no military equipment will rumble through Moscow's Red Square on May 9, the day Russia celebrates its most important secular holiday and showcases its military might. A Russian military statement cited the current operational situation as a reason for excluding a military equipment convoy as well as cadets from the parade. The statement didn't elaborate. World War II is a rare event in the nation's divisive history under communist rule that's revered by all political groups. And the Kremlin has used that sentiment to encourage national pride. I'm Charles de Ledesma.
It is the 81st anniversary of the defeat of the Nazis. Meanwhile, Russia's attacks on Ukraine continue. News and analysis at townhall.com. Responding to Democrat gerrymandering in Virginia, there's a drive to reshape congressional districts in Tampa Bay, Orlando, and South Florida to benefit the GOP.
Florida Governor Republican Ron DeSantis unveiling a new congressional map for the state that could give Republicans up to 4 additional seats in the House ahead of the 2026 midterms. Right now, Republicans hold 20 seats, and that number could increase to 24. Democrats have 8 congressional seats in the Sunshine State, and they could potentially lose half of them. Laura Winters reporting.
The man charged with trying to storm the White House Correspondents' Dinner to kill President Trump last weekend took a picture of himself in his hotel room just minutes earlier, outfitted with an ammunition bag, shoulder gun holster, and a knife. The details contained in a newly released court filing. More on these stories, townhall.com.
Tune in to the KAHI Corral every Saturday at 7 a.m. here on the Voice of the Foothills.
Fun fact. Yeah. Every centimeter of toe growth past what it should be, it's 110 pounds on the navicular bone of extra weight.
God, it makes my legs ache right now.
Yeah.
Seriously?
Yeah.
I didn't realize that. That's scary. Because the navicular, you're done.
Yeah, the navicular bone is very important.
Yeah, you're not riding or doing much else.
Listen in to Connie and the Gang, and you'll never know what you're gonna find. Everything from pets in the studio, oh yeah, that's a real thing, to the advice you've come to count on. So join Connie and a cast of thousands on the KAHI Corral Saturday mornings at 7 a.m. here on 104.5 FM, AM 950, and streaming all over the world at KAHI.com.
Defiant, I'm more MAGA now, make America great again than I've ever been.
Making mornings great again. First thing today on the Talk Media Network by Joe Thomas.
Should you ever need to get hold of us, or just give us a ring?
Basking in the glow of a Tuesday morning, both on amplitude and frequency modulation signals, wherever you may be. I appreciate you taking your time out of a busy day and sharing whatever little bits you've got with us so that we can tell you what went on last night. We can give you our analysis of what went on last night. But most importantly, I want to hear how it is impacting you where you are. Terry writes in, my favorite part of this morning is when you pointed out that the King of England brought more humor to his speech than Jimmy Kimmel did. Absolutely spot on. Well, you know, and this comedy is a very important part of life. And it is a part of civilized society that I don't think we pay enough attention to. We trivialize comedy, partially because we've gone into this woke world of, the sisterhood of the insulted sisterhood. And if somebody makes a joke and it hits a little close to home, there's a reason it is disquieting. Because if it resonates, then it's something in your head saying, hey, that was kind of about us, wasn't it? And I remember it was Kevin Hart or Chris Rock or someone was making a joke about dad jokes. And he said, I can't do dad jokes. I didn't have one. And the whole crowd says there, he was the biggest joke of all. And, but it's a disquieting thing to think about a kid growing up without a dad to make fun of. But comedy is supposed to move our societal needles so that the things that the stand-up philosopher, as Mel Brooks referred to himself as in History of the World Part 1, our stand-up philosophers shine a mirror on the kind of goofy stuff that maybe we want to think twice about doing. Or we could just say stuff that makes us go, yeah. Just where Jimmy Kimmel lands, but still doesn't mean the FCC needs to investigate all of the stations that carry his late night program. And that was the latest from the Federal Communications Commission, is that ABC owned and operated television stations have been given 30 days to file reports with the Federal Communication Commission. Meanwhile, in the real world, gasoline on average, according to AAA, is $4.18 per gallon, a 1.6% increase in one single day, the highest level it's been since April of 2022. President Trump said, however, that in this conflict that is being pointed to by all the price risers, that it's about the Strait of Hormuz and it's about unsurety of where the oil is coming from, when it's really about our green agenda and the closure of many of our refining facilities. President Trump tweeted early this morning that Iran has just informed us they are in a state of collapse. Quote, they want us to open the Strait of Hormuz as soon as possible and as they try to figure out their leadership situation. Meanwhile, Iran has lost allies. The United Arab Emirates, just on the other side of the Strait of Hormuz, has announced it will leave the Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries, OPEC, effective Friday. The oil cartel's largest producer has acknowledged that they will go onto the free market and start to sell oil themselves. This could lower the oil prices even before combat with Iran comes to a close. Meanwhile, Iran also found out that all the other Arab states are siding with the United States when it comes to their blockade and their potential to charge tolls on the Strait of Hormuz. The King of England spoke to a joint session of Congress, said this has been one of the most consequential alliances in human history, meaning the one between the United States and Great Britain. And then he gave the president a bell from the HMS Trump, a submarine. Those are our first things. In July, just after our Independence Day celebration of 250 years in our past, we will kick off our next 250 years, July 8th, in Las Vegas at Freedom Fest. Freedom Fest, the annual gathering of free-thinking people around the country, will gather specifically to talk about what the next 250 years will look like, and they will celebrate it with the Anthem Film Festival. The Anthem Film Festival is one of my favorite parts of the Freedom Fest event. You can join us there. Joanne Skousen, who puts together the festival, asked that you can visit them directly at anthemfilmfestival.com, but she reiterated that this year, if you go now to freedomfest.com and use First Thing 100 in checkout, you save $100 off of your ticket price to join us at Freedom Fest, July 8th in Las Vegas.
At Hot Shot Secret, we listen to our customers. Everyday Diesel Treatment delivers a 6-in-1 premium fuel treatment for every fill-up, every time. Our fans call it EDT.
I'm Nathan from Ellisville, Mississippi, and I drive a 2017 Ford F-350 Power Stroke. I've been using Hot Shot Secret EDT every tank for almost 3 years, and I've seen about 1.5 to 2 miles per gallon increase in fuel mileage.
Everyday Diesel Treatment is available at truck stops, Tractor Supply, O'Reilly's Auto Parts, and online at hotshotsecret.com.
Carl Amari here to tell you about our newest website for old-time radio lovers. It's 100radioshows.com. At this site, there are 5 old-time radio shows waiting for you to download free as our gift to you, and be sure to browse the additional 700 old-time radio shows available to you for 70% off by using the promo code RADIO at checkout. This is a limited time offer, so log on to 100radioshows.com. That's 100radioshows.com.
FM 104.5 KAHI and AM 950 KAHI.
Hey there, KAHI listeners. Producer Adam here to remind you that Chris in the Morning really is the best way to start your day. And he's not paying me to say this at all. Wink. And yes, he really is holding it down in beautiful Studio A in the KAHI Worldwide Headquarters Studios, Monday through Fridays, 6 to 9 a.m. Chris in the Morning here on FM 104.5, AM 950, and streaming all over the world at KAHI.com. Now, where is that $3 gift card he said he'd leave me for saying nice things about him? Man, that guy's a cheapskate.
Hello, Placer County. The weather is here. The ground is soaking it up, so we need to add some fertilizer and get some seed down. The babies and the mamas need feed and bedding, and that means you need to come on by to Placer Farm Supply. They've got what you need. And by the way, if you didn't get that jacket or coat you wanted for Christmas, stop on by and pick it up. In other words, if you need it, they've got it. And if they don't have it, just ask, and they will do their best to get it for you. Customer service is their #1 goal. We're local, and you are our neighbor. Placer Farm Supply, the best kept secret. Stop on by and say hi.
The impact of a meal goes well beyond feeding our bodies, because feeling full can sound like this.
How did the interview go? I did it! I got the job! I can't believe it!
And like this.
Mom, I got first place at the science fair with my volcano project.
That's amazing, sweetie. Congratulations.
Because when people are fed, futures are nourished, and everyone deserves to live a full life. Join the movement to end hunger at feedingamerica.org/act now. Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
Markley, Van Camp, and Robbins, who's been very promiscuous over the last couple of years. There is a new superbug strain of gonorrhea that's outsmarting most antibiotics. You haven't been, oh, sorry. I'm joking.
I'm impervious to that.
Because you've built up a natural immunity.
Yes. Where's Fauci? If you just take the vaccine, you can live this lifestyle, whatever.
Markley, Van Camp, and Robbins.
Weekdays from 1 to 4 on the Voice of the Foothills.
FM 104.5 and AM 950 KAHI.
All sofas are on sale now at Naturewood Home Furnishings. Come visit today and choose from the best selection of sofas, sectionals, chairs, and recliners. At Naturewood, it's all about choices and always about quality, including gallery-exclusive custom-order flex steel furniture. You get to choose the colors and fabrics that are right for your lifestyle. And all come with Flex Steel's superior blue steel highest quality spring construction. Hurry, Naturewood sofa sale ends soon. And tell them Brooklyn Nova and Orion sent you.
Because KAHI cares. Here's another KAHI Community Bulletin Board.
The American Cancer Society Discovery Shop needs your donations of new and gently used merchandise. Items include clothing, jewelry, bric-a-brac, home decor, and more. Donations are tax deductible and support cancer patients locally and nationwide. They also need volunteers daily. The Discovery Shop is located at 2376 Grass Valley Highway in Auburn. For more information, call 530-888-7434.
I can't believe we have to make this commercial.
It's ridiculous.
You'll think it's ridiculous too. Listen to this.
This commercial is about, well, it's about parents being rude at high school athletic events.
Ridiculous, right?
It gets worse. Studies show more than 75% of new high school officials are quitting because of bad adult behavior.
So now there's a shortage of refs here in California. In almost all sports.
No officials means no more games.
Is that what you want for us?
Come on, parents.
It's time to grow up.
Cheer for your team.
Be proud of your children.
But stop being so ridiculous.
And don't make us run another commercial.
Because we will.
This message presented by the California Interscholastic Federation and the California State Athletic Directors Association, reminding you to always practice good sportsmanship.
I'm Frederick Penny, host of Radio Law Talk, the most exciting, entertaining, and sometimes informative radio show on earth. Listen to us live on KAHI, the voice of the foothills, every Saturday morning, 9 to noon, here on FM 104.5 and AM 950. You can also find us on KAHI.com and the KAHI app. Remember, that's Radio Law Talk, live 9 to noon every Saturday. right here on KAHI, AM and FM, the voice of the foothills.
Wednesday weather forecast is calling for mostly sunny skies today, 70 to 75, and light west winds. It'll be around 50 overnight, mostly clear, almost calm. Mid to upper 70s expected Thursday and Friday. Some nice spring weather, mostly sunny skies expected Thursday and Friday. Looks like the nice weather will continue over the weekend with sunshine in the 70s. This is meteorologist Tim Root from FM 104.5 and AM 950 KAHI.
On a need-to-know basis, because you need to know the first thing today.
This is just what the doctor ordered.
Great text message comes into 434-882-4217 this morning on the subject of comedy. John Myers writes in, maybe not a one-to-one comparison, but comedy is much like a sermon. You start squirming in your seat when it hits close to home. And it's it. I mean, it's a mirror. It is supposed to be a mirror on the things that, maybe we need to do better. And well-done satire sends up the powerful people. And you get less satire when there's fewer important people. I remember Jeff Foxworthy once talking about how redneck was not a Southern thing. It was anywhere. And I looked around, and I was living in Queens, New York, and I said, you know what? We got rednecks here. I remember the first time my wife saw Jeff Foxworthy, and he said, if your working TV is sitting on top of your non-working TV, you might be a redneck. We were watching that on her father's working TV in Greenlawn, New York, in Suffolk County, New York, that was sitting on top of his non-working TV. And he's Scottish. So, I mean, comedy... these are the things we do that, sometimes you don't even realize you're doing them. But in the wokeness of our world, in the world where victim shaming is something, I got a text message about obesity. Believe it or not, just after our segment about acid reflux and esophageal cancer. That we shouldn't be making light of obesity. I don't think we were making light of it. I think we were saying it's something to avoid. The response to that email was, it's not always something you can avoid. And that's the problem, is we have decided that all of these things are for either someone else to fix or they're unfixable, and they're not. We've ceded our power over our own world. And that's a bigger problem, don't you think? I mean, if I don't have the ability to change, but then to say, well, we should go after Jimmy Kimmel for making, not funny jokes. I will point out again that the King of England delivered more actual comedy in his speech in front of Donald Trump than Jimmy Kimmel did. But it's always been what Jimmy does. Jimmy says the shocking thing. And there are some points where that's efficacious. There are other points where it's just defecacious. I'm sorry, that one just hit me. That was inspiration. But just saying something to make everyone go, it's a little bit of the emperor's not wearing any clothes. But when your monologue opens up with a treatise, and we're not going to play it again, but we played it plenty yesterday, in a treatise of everything that had manifested itself in this assailant's mind. It was the assailant's letter to his family. I can no longer permit my hands to be soiled, something along these lines, with this president, with this country going this way, being led by a rapist pedophile. None of which is an adjudicated thing. If I went out and said, you are a rapist pedophile, and did it publicly and attached your name to it, you could sue my ass. I have no proof. And then even in the face of proof saying he isn't, the jokes continue. Because it's about making people not want to vote for Donald Trump. But beyond those people, you have folks who already have a tenuous grip on their last good marble. Perhaps it's being 31 years old and living in mom's basement. Perhaps it's realizing that, all the degrees that you got have amounted to a career as a tutor, and that maybe Best Buy is your best, income generating opportunity because you haven't embraced your inner Tedness yet. This kid never found out what he was really gifted to do. And so he just thought, Cheetos and Mountain Dew in mom's basement, playing Call of Duty or whatever it was he played online. Was, Skyrim, whatever. Yeah, I don't know all the games. I just know, some of them, just enough to be conversant where somebody doesn't think I'm a complete doob. So he had this pain, this suffering, already driving his marbles to a very tenuous spot in his grip, and then they all fell out. One last time, he heard Rachel Maddow call Donald Trump a pedophile rapist, or he heard Jimmy Kimmel call him that on his late-night show. Or he heard the women on The View cackle on about it. And he's like, I can't take this anymore. I can't have my country run by a person like this. That's what his letter said. I cannot allow. He was internalizing all these things that people are saying, and they're just saying it like, oh, this is great because it'll make 1 or 2% of the population not vote for Donald Trump. Well, it actually made somebody try to commit murder. This is why all these things have to be careful. If you've ever seen the Broadway play or the movie version, I mean, it's Oliver Stone, so you take it with the grains of salt that are necessary. But the movie is a reasonable depiction of the Broadway play, Tony Award-winning Broadway play, not a musical, talk radio. Eric Bogosian basically plays Howard Stern, Jimmy Kimmel, a shock jock who shocked the wrong person who winds up shooting him at the end. I'm sorry, spoilers. I should have warned you that. But you kind of get a feeling through the whole play. This is where this is headed. Because insult isn't comedy. Insult can play a role in comedy. And I'm not claiming to be John Cleese or Eric Idle or George Carlin. But if all you rely on is insult for comedy or for shock value, then you're going to wind up knocking the wrong marble out of the right hand. And as it happens in the play / movie, talk radio, it befalls the talk show host who winds up finally getting silenced in the end. But sometimes there are unintended consequences. Your insults to the president, eventually somebody believes you, even if you think this is just fun and games to win an election. And there are plenty of people who will lump me into crowds of people that, say the same thing about Barack Obama, but not
Let's see. If something costs less, but people are happier with it, that sounds like something to look into. And that is MediShare. Maybe you've heard switching to MediShare to pay for healthcare can save many families up to $500 a month. And that is huge. But it's also true that people are way more satisfied after making the switch, too. The member satisfaction rate for MediShare is double that of the typical health insurance plan. Double. MediShare works, too. It's been around for 30 years. Members have shared more than $5 billion of each other's bills. People love having telehealth and a huge nationwide PPO network. So, yeah, really, you can save a ton and like it better. Imagine being happy with how you're taking care of your health care. So if you're self-employed or part of the gig economy, or you just want a plan you're happy with, you can call right now. You'll get a price within 2 minutes. So see what you can save. This is a very, very smart use of 2 minutes. Here's the number you need. Call 855-SHARE-40. That's 855-SHARE-40. 855-SHARE-40.
This is an urgent announcement for anyone that's $10,000 or more in debt. Before you make another minimum payment, you need to know there are special programs that can completely free you of your debt. Total Financial Freedom can help you become debt-free in months instead of years. Resolve your credit card debt, signature loans, department store cards, internet loans, and timeshares. Call Total Financial Freedom now at 800-878-6020 for a free consultation. For 16 years, Total Financial Freedom has helped thousands get out of debt. You can feel confident when calling because Total Financial Freedom is A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau. Battling for years and years, stuck in the endless cycle of minimum payments could take decades. You have the right to get your debt resolved and substantially reduce your monthly payments. Call Total Financial Freedom now at 800-878-6020. That's 800-878-6020. 800-878-6020.
FM 104.5 KAHI and AM 950 KAHI.
San Francisco Giants baseball is on the voice of the foothills, KAHI, AM and FM.
And this is hit high and deep and out of here.
Into the bleachers, a two-run homer, 4-0 Giants. The throw to first, it's high, pulling the first baseman off the bag, and there's nobody at the plate. Jung-Hoo Lee very alertly sprints home to score the run.
Every child is on a journey, a path from the earliest days of wonder and discovery through all the years of learning and growing to become the person they were meant to be. At Children International, we're empowering children and youth to forge a path out of poverty. Walking alongside on their journey, we equip them with education, skills, and resources to succeed in every milestone of growth. From early childhood to starting school, through healthcare access and learning to read, to life skills, job skills, and leadership training, and into employment. This is how we build confidence and instill a positive mindset so they can achieve bright futures for themselves, their families, and communities. Learn how you can join the journey and help end poverty for good at children.org today.
The year is 2001. In the Rangatoa Atoll group near Tahiti, native divers discover a pearl weighing 603 pounds. In France, the Cathedral of Notre Dame mysteriously begins to glow. In East Africa, the small village of Nawambe is flattened by a pelting rain of chili dogs. In Washington, D.C., 5,000 winged gorillas make a graceful formation turn above the White House. Just another average day, and the people of planet Earth see it all through a fantastic communications medium that informs, educates, and entertains on a screen that stretches from horizon to horizon as far as the ear can see. Radio. Look into it.
A message from Worldwide Radio.
Catch Sinatra and Friends, Saturdays and Sundays, right here on 104.5 FM and AM 950 KAHI. Join Frank and his friends, Sammy, Dean, Tony Bennett, and more, performing songs from the Great American Songbook. Sinatra and Friends Weekends, brought to you by Naturewood Home Furnishings on Folsom Boulevard in Rancho Cordova. right here on the Voice of the Foothills, 104.5 FM, AM 950, and streaming all over the world at KAHI.com.
Did you ever wonder where we get a word like muckety-muck? How about the whole kit and caboodle? I'm Martha Barnett, along with Grant Barrett.
Each week on Away with Words, we try to solve linguistic mysteries.
And we invite you to call us with your questions about language. We want to hear from you about words and phrases, regional dialects, grammar, or maybe that weird family expression you grew up with.
So join us on Away with Words, Saturdays and Sundays at 7 p.m. here on the Voice of the Foothills, AM 950 KAHI.
And the Sundance final scene sets the hills.
I love California. I love the mountains. I love the sunsets. I love the foothills. Oh, speaking of which, join me every Saturday at 8 p.m. for Rewind, featuring the stars you grew up with. Oh, by the way, my name is Jimmy J. We've been doing this for a long time. If you haven't heard the show yet, check it out. This Saturday, 8 p.m., Rewind on the Voice of the Foothills, AM 950 KAHI.
Amaze your friends. Hear it first thing today by Joe Thomas.
Oh, yes, we do. If you understand it. I mean, this is the thing. If you think American Campfire is just getting rich, or the American dream is just getting rich, you don't get it. And that's on our educational system. Our educational system doesn't do its job. It doesn't say what the American dream is. It's embarrassing to me in a lot of ways when I talk to people and I'm like discussing philosophy, like what the American dream actually is. And people say, where did you go to school? Bayside High School in New York City. Is that a private school? No, it's a public high school that was built in 1933. And by the way, I was there when the city was bankrupt and we were in a classroom with 40 people. And they still put the education out there. So don't claim, oh, it's too hard. But beyond that, there's the point, and I want to get back to, is Iran collapsing? Because there are things in President Trump's early morning tweet that I think, are important to know. Because everyone's, it's just another one of Trump's midnight tweets. How many of them have actually borne fruit? But the second part of the whole Jimmy Kimmel thing is now David Carr at the FCC, as I warned yesterday, has decided to call all of the ABC network owned and operated television broadcast stations to file reports within 30 days to his office. And there's several reasons why this is wrong. I mean, number one, first and foremost, what Jimmy Kimmel said wasn't on broadcast television. He was giving a speech somewhere. Are we going to start doing this? Are we going to start saying, hey, I saw Joe Thomas at a Tea Party rally, and he said this, so everyone should stop listening to his radio. Or the FCC, moreover, the FCC should investigate Joe Thomas for something we saw him say that wasn't broadcast over his affiliates. I don't like the world where it is. I understand the feeling of saying Jimmy Kimmel is part of the problem. It's obviously he played a role. His rhetoric is just a master's class in how the guy became unhinged. But I don't believe it's an FCC issue. I mean, do you?
And then the media is trying to bring up exterior and interior issues too. They go, well, the new president of ABC, we're not sure if he's really in control of this situation.
Well, it wasn't on ABC. This wasn't even on ABC. He was at a dinner.
No, I understand. I totally understand. But the media is trying to put all these guardrails up that aren't even guardrails, and they're also saying the Yeah, and the biggest, that's what I'm saying, all these distractions. And they're just trying to make it look like it's actually ABC, but there's affiliate stations, and I think President Trump thinks he can go in and lower the bar on all these other places and make it hurt indirectly, so that they have to do something at one of these affiliates.
Well, and
I
that's
don't
the
think
thing.
That's the way to do it.
I said this yesterday, and there was Brendan Carr before the afternoon was over asking all ABC owned and operated stations to refile with the FCC. And I'm sorry, it's just not necessary. First off, it didn't happen on an ABC station, so you're just targeting an employer of someone, a contractor, really, because Jimmy Kimmel produces the show himself, and then sells it basically to the network. That's how most of these shows are. They're produced by someone, and then they sell the broadcast rights to the network. And that's why everyone's talking about Byron Allen, selling his show to CBS for Colbert. Jon Stewart produced Colbert's show after it took over from Letterman. It's a wholly different show. It's got the same name, but what they did is they picked up the production rights to it. So Jon Stewart and Stephen Colbert were actually the producers of that show, and they charged CBS for the rights to it, and then CBS tried to make back the money by selling the sponsorships to it. And that's not wrong. That's basically how all these programs wind up on TV. Johnny Carson produced Letterman, and then Letterman produced what's his name, Conan, and that kind of thing. And it all, that's how it works. So going after ABC, it's a headline grab. I don't even know if it was ordered from the White House. This is the stuff that I really worry that since her chemotherapy started, Susie Wiles, a lot of this knuckleheaded stuff has started happening when Susie Wiles needed to take some time away from the chief of staff desk. And, these guys are scuttling around. They've made it into the pantry. And, we need to kind of rein this in, because it's giving Trump's opponents like Hakeem Jeffries too much ammunition. You know what I mean?
Right. And it's almost like doing the pool test when you're checking the water for pH. pH means how many cations of hydrogen in there. If there's more hydrogen, it's acidic. If there's equal balance and it's 7, then you're at equilibrium. If there's less, then you're alkaline. And then they're trying to get to some balance, but you're never going to really get a balance on free speech, because the only thing it's going to come to if it's violence or something like that. But I don't think he should be silenced or fired. I think they should just make him an example of being a little bit more respectful, because, like you said, people aren't going to listen to him anyway.
Right. Just ignore him. Ignore him. It's the worst thing to happen to people like me is when the crickets start being heard, and that's what you need. Well, anyway, you enjoy. Try to feel better. Here's the hippy dippy conservo hip idea. Find local honey. Find honey made from honeybees near where you're living. And you drink tea with that honey, and you will develop the immunity to your local allergens.
Thank you. You know what the big problem is here? Killer bees are taking over all the native hives here. I just found that out.
Oh yeah, and they're invasive. Well, hopefully you can find some there. But I appreciate it, Joel. Feel better, my friend. We'll talk to you soon.
Thank you. Thanks, Joe.
God bless. So in my mind, John Belushi running around with Bill Murray in bee costumes.
Badgers, we don't need no stinking badgers.
434-882-4217. I get the inclination to want to punish, because of, to me, more than the Melania expectant widow stuff, this ongoing, hey, good job, you got to ride Jeffrey Epstein's planes 7 times, because you're a pedophile, and that's the stuff that made this guy crazy. And that's lost in all this, is that this guy had listened to one too many segments of The View, one too many Rachel Maddow commentaries, a little too much Chris Hayes, a little too much Chris Matthews when they wheel him out of the home. And so when you say, how did he become radicalized? It really, listen to the opening of Jimmy Kimmel's monologue from the very White House Correspondents' Dinner that this guy charged. That's how he gets it. Regardless of whether or not the story was true or not, we've decided that it was said and it's funny, so we're not going to let go of it. But that's not something that, the FCC can look at on the basis of just something he had said at the Correspondents' Dinner. You want to go after him for stuff he says every night on his TV program. People do that. These companies, these TV shows have lawyers.
In 2024, the American Heart Association celebrates 100 years of life-saving service as the world's leading nonprofit organization focused on heart and brain health. Heart disease still kills more people in the United States each year than all types of cancer combined, but more than half of Americans are unaware of this fact, according to a recent Harris Poll survey conducted for the American Heart Association. However, the majority of heart disease is preventable. New research has improved the prevention, diagnosis, and treatment of heart disease and its risk factors. Efforts led by the American Heart Association have reduced deaths from heart disease by half over the past century and helped people with heart disease live longer and more productive lives while managing their condition and risk factors. To learn more about the American Heart Association's Century of Service and how you can help, visit heart.org/centennial.
We are the entertainment you love and information that shapes your day. We are your lifeline. We are your companion.